It's a positive film. It has heroes and villains, and that it essentially is a fun movie to watch. It's been a long time since people have been able to go to the movies and see a sort of straightforward, wholesome, fun adventure.
Well, it's a fantasy. It's not science fiction so much as it is space fantasy. And it's about people. It's finally about people and not finally about science.
The story, when you actually put it into words, is only so much nonsense to hang a great visual experience onto. It's the stuff that fairy tales are made of.
Sort of boiling down religion into a very basic concept. The fact that there is some deity or some power or some force that sort of controls our destiny works for good and also works for evil.
Marvelous, healthy innocence. Great pace, wonderful to look at, full of guts, nothing unpleasant. I mean, people go bang bang and people fall over and are dead, but, no horrors. A sort of wonderful freshness about it, kind of like a wonderful fresh air.
It's got whatever you want it to be. It's pure entertainment. It's like a roller coaster ride, and it can be interpreted as long as you enjoy it, which is the intention.
Hello, welcome back to Generation Skywalker. We are back with The Modern Way, episode 19 of The Modern Way. So we're ploughing on with them. And who is with me tonight? I've got with me Dan. Good evening, Dan.
Hello there.
And I've got Jez. Good evening, Jez.
Good evening.
But just a nice little three-way tonight. How are we, old boys? Because first time we've recorded a modern since London Film and Comic Con. It's been a fun month. Enjoying your summers?
It's a bit toasty.
Jez, you just got back from France.
Lovely. Really, really good. It's all right at the moment. The sun is out. That's good. It's August. That's good. We're getting slightly closer to Christmas. That's good. And fuel prices have started to go down. That's good.
Yeah, it's good when they hit 190 again, eh?
Come on, positivity.
Yeah. Well, talking of positivity, last month I missed The Modern Way, and you two took the reins of it. Dan, you hosted. And Dave Tree joined us, which I really, really enjoyed. It was great to hear his take on Hasbro and the way they do business from a toy shop's perspective. I mean, I learned quite a lot, and you don't sometimes think about certain issues. And it certainly made me think about the pre-orders quite a bit since that show, and actually what a real crappy way of doing business, really. You boys had some lovely feedback from listener Jeff Tilley. Now, Jeff is quite a good supporter of the podcast, and he put this lovely post. I mean, I think he tagged us in it. I'm not sure. Actually, now I'm looking at it, I don't think he did tag us in it. But on his own personal wall, he just put up. Let me just read you the message. Just because I did think this was lovely. It's rare for me to say, "Wow, that blew me away," as I listen to many entertaining podcasts. However, episode 81 of Generation Skywalker was just that. First of all, this one has a different dynamic than usual. Regular member Dan hosted and was joined by fellow team regular Jez and guest Dave. Good shows work when you feel you are listening to a social conversation that you don't want to end. This was akin to three mates chatting about their passion. Now, that might be Star Wars toys, but came across in a way that would appeal to just diehards, which I am not. Dave is a toy retailer, so his perspective was fascinating as an insider. Jez, who maybe doesn't always get too much talk time on the team group shows, we'll go into that in a minute, because I sometimes think you can't get him to shut up. Certainly shone in this. Dan impressed me in the lead role and hope he gets more hosting chances in the future. Well done, Dan. I was just going to message the show, but I thought I'd say it here as a review. The Generation Skywalker team do loads of great shows, particularly their recent Attack of the Clones anniversary set of shows. I've commented on just one from their consistent output. Google up Generation Skywalker and see what takes your interest. I thought that was a really lovely post, and I only saw it just by chance that I'm friends with Jeff. I think Jeff's based in Australia. Yeah, it was lovely to read, and I thought it was really nice. Now, the only line I disagree with you, Jeff, is the Jez doesn't get too much time to shine, because I would say he's one of the most vocal and sometimes perhaps we edit him down so much because he's like those old wind-up toys that, the wind-up toys that never stopped being wound up. They carry on walking and walking and walking. You're like, but yeah, thought it was a really nice post, and well done, boys.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, well, when I can get a word in edgeways, Stu.
Yeah, just go and listen to the Obi-Wan Kenobi podcast and see how little screen time Jez gets.
Yeah, and that's the last one, so that's exactly it. Yeah.
But my point is, yeah, Jeff, lovely. Thanks ever so much. And Stu, well done for you for taking that so well. I mean, first podcast you've not been involved with for a while, we get a rave review.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, Jeff, I edited that show and I saved it in the edit, so it's not always as good as you hear. I know you two did it last month, but just want to ask you, recent acquisitions. I know you've both been enjoying dabbling in a bit of modern, especially with the vintage prices as they are, and also kind of where's your modern going at the moment? Where are we heading? What's your target? Has it changed?
No, my target is
That's
still...
enough now, mate. Dan?
Brilliant. It's so funny. Mint on card, the vintage collection. As you know, I'm getting one of each sort of release. Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Bad Batch, etc. And that's ever growing, and I'm enjoying it. And I've got 2 more this month. So I finally got a Phantom Menace, one which I actually wanted, rather than just the peg warmers you usually see. So I got a Phantom Menace, I got a droid, battle droid there, and I got the solo one, which is the trooper. The sort of, what are they called? The big troopers you see on the solo train. Yeah, those ones. I really like that card back. So I'm doing well with my vintage collection collecting.
And that's going to grow pretty quickly over the next few months, mate, with Andor and what else is coming up. Do you treat them to acrylic?
Not yet. At the moment, they're just in a Detolf, just all on their own, and they're actually all freestanding. Now, this is probably not necessarily a good thing, but the way the bubbles are on them, they're all able to freestand, and they're absolutely fine. Now, that's probably not in the long run ideal for the bubbles, because it might be putting a tad more pressure on them, but they display great. They're looking great. So I'm either going to get the... there's been a bit of a discussion recently on the sort of deflector cases, a couple other brands, or acrylic. I don't know. But at the moment, just enjoying it for what it is.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Dan?
I've had Craig bring me back the Geeky Tiki Cantina 4-packs from Celebration, so I've still got both of those in front of me. I need to get them out of the boxes, actually, but I've got those. I got the Luke Snowspeeder Pilot Hot Toy, so I've got that in hand now. I did an unboxing of that, so if you want to see what that looks like, head over to YouTube and check out our YouTube channel. And I pre-ordered the Cad Bane we spoke about last month, so I've got the Hot Toys Cad Bane on pre-order, and I've also pre-ordered the Kenobi that was announced since we last recorded as well. The only other thing, this isn't mine, it's my son's, but we picked up the Lego Kenobi versus Vader from the Kenobi series, that little set. So it's the scene where, I can't remember the name of the planet, there's so many of them, but it was the quarry fight where Kenobi gets barbecued by Vader. So you've got a nice little setup with all these flame coloured pieces of Lego that you can spill out across the this diorama that they've put together, and you pull the floor open and all the flames flick up. So it's a nice little set. It's okay. We'll talk about it some more in a bit. I think it's in the new releases for Lego, but yeah, that's me. So a couple of Hot Toys pre-orders, one in hand, a Lego set, and some tikis.
Nice. Is it Mapusa, something like that, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, that rings a bell. What about you, Stu?
Well, obviously it's actually been 3 months since I spoke about my acquisition, so I'm not going to go too heavy on it, because obviously the month before it was Attack of the Clones month. But like Dan, Craig brought me back both boxes of the Tikis for the Cantina Aliens. Absolutely love them. I've dabbled in a bit of vintage collection. I've bought a fair bit of Black Series. Been buying a few bits off our friend Dave over at All the Cool Stuff. So have added a bits there. I've had a few Hot Toys finally announced. Luke Snowspeeder's arrived. Moff Gideon arrived. Anakin on the Staps arrived. What else? I haven't got them all out. The only one I've actually opened is Moff Gideon. So I've got 7 now under my desk. So they will be getting open. But Moff Gideon was the one I nearly cancelled. And then I opened it and I was thinking, oh, it's lovely. It's really lovely. His cape is beautiful and his face sculpt's amazing. So I'm actually really happy. I've got that. Bit and piece of Lego. Just thinking, and I bought some of the Micro Galaxy Squadron just to do a couple of little mini TikTok reviews. So got some reviews coming on TikTok. So go and check out our account over there, where I'm going to actually rip open some of these toys and 2-minute review. Straight.
You're living the TikTok dream at the minute. You're born again.
It's good fun. It's good fun just watching old videos. But yeah, back on track. So I'm trying to sort my garage out. Tiki 421, out at the moment. And I want to build a Cantina diorama with what I think the best sculpts are from each of the Cantina aliens that have been available over the years. So that is the target for the second half of the year. So
Stu, when we started this podcast, or even before then, you spoke, I need to sort my garage out. And so you've had it completely refitted. It looks brilliant. We've all been around there and seen it. And you're still talking about sorting your garage out.
Do you know what, mate? I've still got so much stuff in the middle. I just need to clear it. I'm really scaling my collection back, vintage and modern, and going to just kind of make it a nice space.
This garage, which Stu refers to, you need to vacate your mind of all images of garages you know it. This isn't a garage. This is what Stu refers to as Tiki 421. This is a showroom, but it's just a little bit messy in a couple of places. But it's a beautiful showroom. Stu does not do it justice in his, got to tidy up the garage. It's not what you think, folks.
But it's getting there. I'm going to go and buy a couple of new units this week, just so I've got more space to put stuff.
Oh, I did forget one thing. Talking about celebration, Craig bought back the Malcolm Tween print for me. We're talking modern. It's all modern, isn't it? This is alternative modern stuff. So he brought back the latest Tween print for me, which was the Kenobi one. And when it was released by Dark Inks, they said, it's the 10th one. And I'm counting all of the Tween artwork, which I've got in my office. And I thought I had every piece. And I've got 8. So I contacted Mal and said, hang on a second, what am I missing? And apart from the new one, he said it was his very original. It was his first one, which he produced for Celebration 4, which was Vader versus Luke Jedi. And he threw that in because I've got all of his other pieces. So Malcolm Tween, you absolute legend. So he has allowed me to complete my collection of all 10 Tween prints. So I now have got 2 more to get framed, and going to have to shoehorn them in somehow. But I'm really pleased with that. I'm grateful for Craig for bringing them back.
That's a lovely touch. I know you've had, over the years, you've had a bit of contact with Malcolm, but
yeah,
that's still a really nice thing to do. Did you have them all framed the same?
Yeah, they're subtly different because as this has gone on over a period of 9-10 years, from when I bought the first one, framers go in and out of business, and then sort of frame stocks and bits and pieces, they change ranges, but they're close enough. They're all, to look at it, you're like, and then you'll notice that there's a slight bead here or a little bit of a change there. But they all fit very, very well. Framing, when you get a piece of artwork like that, you absolutely need to commit to the framing, getting it double mounted and everything else. It just looks beautiful. It looks really good. The frames are often, I found it in some cases, the frames end up costing more than the prints themselves if you get them done, to a really lovely standard to make them pop.
Ah, nice. Actually, you talk about posters. I've also picked one up this month, which I wanted. Mark Daniels, he did the Lair of the Rancor. You might well have it, Jez, which is a great little picture of the Rancor with Ula looking frightened in front. But it was one of his prints he did, and Dark Ink, and he didn't have any left. But I've got 2 call sheets for the Rancor from Return of the Jedi. I've got a storyboard. Yeah, and I thought, his print would be really good. And actually, luckily, I said to him, have you got any left? He goes, I literally haven't. He goes, it's something that was done a long time ago. It was cleared out and thing. And then days later, he just messaged me. He goes, the bloke who, can't remember the whole backstory, but someone he was connected to had the original, the first print or something of it. And they were going to auction to raise money for charity. And he was just like, here's an email. Just put in a blind bid for the Rancor. So I did that, and Mark got it delivered to him and posted it down a couple of weeks ago. So I have got that print. So when I do have my little sort out, I will have a nice little Rancor. And I'm actually quite gutted now that the Rancor HasLab project didn't make it and I didn't back it, because it has just gone lovely in front of it. But hey, Such is life.
I should have gone up against you on that. I stepped aside for you on that. I really like that poster. And the other one, the sand person one, I forget what it's called. It's like a horror movie poster, isn't it, with the sand people on it? I can't think what is it. Revenge of the Sand People, I think it's called. That is awesome.
Yeah, no, nice. Just going to complete that little thing. I'm just going to find somewhere to put it and set it up. Maybe get a few more little Rancor trinkets.
All of Mark's artwork's great.
Yeah.
We do need to do a Celebration artwork. Celebration have just announced that their art gallery is now sort of open for submissions, so they're now taking entries for 2023. And over the years, the artwork has been just stunning. It's been brilliant. So it'd be really, really good to do a show dedicated to that. See if we can get Mark on, see if we can get Malcolm on. Yeah, I'd like to do that.
It'd be quite nice, actually. I mean, Celebration is in London next year. It's in April. It'd be lovely to have like January, February, March, the odd tribute show for Celebration building up in amongst all our normal shows and kind of throw a few in. So I'll leave you with that one, Jez.
Yeah, I was just about to do the same to Dan.
And Jez, perhaps you could also do the sounds of Celebration.
The sounds of Celebration.
Yeah, that's a challenge for you, okay? I want you to produce an hour show, okay?
Roger that.
Jez, did you get you got any news on your Gentle Giants Luke Skywalker bus? What's the latest on that?
Yeah, God. So that has now arrived at Ian Sanderson's, and Ian is now in the process of posting it to me. So I think it's probably going to be about another $40 to $60 or something like that to post it from the States. So it will eventually get here. I think I've learned my lesson with regards to ordering direct, and then it just takes a while, these things.
That's the whole thing with the pre-orders, isn't it? On everything, we don't go in a shop anymore and look at this stuff. You've got to make a decision there and then, and it is a bit annoying. I know we're going to get on to the announcements, but even that Obi-Wan that you just talked about, Dan, that's already down to a wait list on Sideshow. And it's not due until the end of 2023 to April 2024. So you're talking a long time away, and you've got to make a commitment to them. Yeah. It's a strange thing.
Luke X-Wing has just been 12 months. I'll say it's been 12 months.
Yeah.
And it's really dragged. For me, that's my sort of first pre-order, it's dragged. It really has.
We're just a general chit chat. I think we can end this now. We've pretty done a long. Between the 8th and the 10th of July was London Film and Comic Con, and we were privileged to be invited to be part of the Star Wars Zone. Let's just talk about the event. Jez, what was our setup there on the day, and can you explain a bit about the Star Wars Zone?
Right, so Dave Tree was in charge of the Star Wars Zone, which was a dedicated area for Star Wars fans. It didn't include retail outlets. That's not quite true. There was one, which I'll come on to. But it was a dedicated area where you would have the various different cosplay groups with their backdrops and various different sceneries. So you had UK Garrison, the 501st, the Mandalorian Mercs, so all sorts of people and others who would just, gravitate over to that area. So it was just an absolute medley of cosplayers, which was brilliant. Some really, really good ones. King Cosplay. There was all sorts of stuff. So that was fantastic and really added to the whole ambience of it. So you had your usual suspects. You had Dave with his All the Cool Stuff shop, which was brilliant, so well stocked. You had fan tracks were there, Star Wars sessions were there. So there's lots of fundraising, and you had Stormtrooper Coffee also had a booth, and you had a few others, one or twosies just in there for a day or so. But Generation Skywalker were there, and we were there, absolutely. We had our huge pop-up stand and various different things on display. So we took some bits which kind of, not summed up, but some things which really represented some of the content which we've produced over the last couple of years. So we had glass cabinets with beer show bits and pieces, some original vintage collecting merchandise, as well as modern. We had the hot toys and the giveaway, which Dan's going to talk about shortly. And we had some Helix bits and pieces. So all sorts, you know what it's like. All eras, all passions, all Star Wars. And that was co-located next to my Running Stormtrooper booth, because I thought there was an opportunity there not to be missed. for us to do some fundraising for charity.
And you raised quite a bit, didn't you, in fairness to your charities, which a month before the event wasn't expected, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I was pleased with that, yeah. And, I mustn't forget as well, Darth Elvis was there. Oh, thank you very much. So, yeah, it was one of those things where I had drawn a line at that time, drawn a line under the Running Stormtrooper stuff. However, the virtual medals, the Running Stormtrooper medals, which I had set up with a separate company, there were still some of those just dormant, hadn't been sold, so therefore not raising money for charity. I spoke to the company and they agreed to sell them all on to me for the same amount of money which they owed from a charity point of view, and saying, right, so now that's cleared the books and everything you've got left, sell them for as much as you want. So therefore maximising money, maximise what you can get for charity. So it was a really great idea. Both the charities were delighted with it because they were going to get about 120 quid each, and we ended up raising 721. So it was an easy thing for us to do. Not huge, not groundbreaking amount of money, but it was just another £721, which, as you said, a month ago they weren't expecting.
Precisely. Dan, any highlights from the event?
It was a mixed bag of people, wasn't it? There, I don't think it wasn't purely Star Wars fans. There was people walking by and they kind of it was Star Wars and just kept walking and didn't like eye contact. But then the people that did engage with us, it was great fun. The day flew by. We weren't ever really standing around not doing very much. And Baby Yoda was a great draw as well on the Sunday afternoon. It was a bit entertaining, wasn't it, when we put that Baby Yoda out and everyone started fawning over it. Dave Tree was trying to push some of his products, so lent us the eating Baby Yoda, wasn't it? The one
snacking Grogu, it's called.
There you go, the snacking Grogu. So we put one of those out on our little lectern and just left him there. And we pretty much walked away and let the magic happen. And we had crowds of cosplayers taking photos with this little £80 Baby Yoda toy. So yeah,
you were a nightmare. You were an absolute parent's nightmare. You were when those young kids came over.
Oh, those two girls. Those two young girls walked over and I went, look, they're on that shelf over there. You can go and buy one. And they went screaming towards Dave Trees. I had to apologise to their mum.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good until they saw the price of it. Yeah. We did manage to sell one. So those cosplayers, the chap that was dressed as Kylo Ren on the Saturday and Chewbacca and Han Solo. I mean, his costume was excellent. Yeah. They did go and treat themselves to one after they saw it out. So it was a wise decision getting it out.
King cosplays. That was Wayne and Gemma.
Yeah, they were brilliant, weren't they?
I think there was a whole good vibe in the Star Wars zone, though. So obviously, Dave was opposite us, and then you had the guys from Fan for Tracks and the guys from Star Wars Sessions, Darth Elvis, and I think there was a good buzz in the area. I thought it was quite felt like we were all in it together. Yeah,
Tops artist Jamie Richards was there Saturday, wasn't he? He came for a curry with us in the evening, and the Star Wars Sessions lads were good value for money, weren't they? You're right though, Dan. Sometimes when the people are walking past, do you like Star Wars? They just ignore you, or they go, no.
Yeah, it wasn't like I imagine doing a celebration.
But you're right. When people engage, I mean, I arranged a few interviews and we met a few people. It's lovely always getting people come up to you, going, "Oh, I listen to you," and they're people you don't know, and how they retail what their favourite. We had one chap who's been listening on the school runs and he loved Attack of the Clones month. There was a lady that came over and said she'd listened to us when we were on TVR and had come over to Generation Skywalker with us. That was nice to hear. And I managed to get a few contacts, which we'll be hooking up. I
was going to say, you got a few phone numbers as well, didn't you, Stu?
Yeah, a few phone numbers of people to arrange interviews and things like that. So, yeah, definitely worthwhile doing. I think they're going to do a Star Wars Zone again. That's the thing, not in the winter one or the spring one. I think it's going to be a summer-based event, but hopefully it will grow. I mean, we talk about guests there. There was a lot of guests there from Star Wars, from big guests. Andy Serkis was there, obviously played Snoke, and then you had people who were background cast and that. But Andy Purvis was there, which was real pleasure. Now if you go back to A New Hope, he was the praying mantis that's at the bar. And he's never signed. Jason Joyner's been trying to get him to come to a London Comic Con for many years, but I think he lives in New Zealand or Australia, one or the other, and he comes from a very wealthy background now. But Jason Joyner only managed to get him because he is the brother of Katie Purvis, who was there signing as well. Obviously, she was in Star Wars as well. So he'd come along just for the one day. So I did go around and get him, and he was absolutely lovely. And Jason said it was probably the only time he'll ever get him to sign in the UK. So he, there were some good guests there. There was a good selection. They changed daily, but there was a lot of good guests there. We did a panel.
So it didn't matter that it was the graveyard shift. It was the last event of the last day. Everyone was leaving, everyone was packing up, people had gone, it had been so hot. However, we still probably had the same amount of people in there as most of the other panels had, I would say, that whole weekend. And we did it, and we can put it on the resume. It was good fun, and it was a team effort. Craig put it together, because shout out already to Craig, because we've spoken about what we've been doing, and the fact that we were at the booth, but the person who was probably working the hardest, who unfortunately couldn't join us, was Craig, and he was busy as a busy thing, putting together the best videos every day and sorting out all of our social media content. So yeah, the panel had been put together by Craig, who wanted to ensure that we encapsulated everything that we cover, and we had 45 minutes to do that. And I think from a timing point of view, we pretty much nailed it, and we had the best Q&A session at the end.
That was that kid Rhino. He was great, wasn't he?
Yeah. And another question. He was like the young lads at the beginning of Home Alone. Like, does this give good gas mileage? Does this do this? He was just asking brilliant questions, really, really good questions, which made you think.
And also, over the course of the weekend, we did this fantastic giveaway of a hot toy, which was the Shore Trooper. We also gave away one set of the Tiki mugs, but the Shore Trooper hot toy was a big draw. People were loving that competition. And Dan, that was donated by someone you interviewed, and I'm sure you'd like to give him a shout out and his company.
So yeah, Lee Ward over at The Good, the Bad and the Robots, who I interviewed back in February, who spoke to us about all things hot toys and his own collecting journey, and then about his business, The Good, the Bad and the Robots, kindly sponsored us with a Shore Trooper hot toy, as Stu's already mentioned. So he sent it to me through the post, took it along to the show. And to enter, you had to follow us on one of our social media platforms, so whether that was Facebook, Instagram, all the other ones that are out there, TikTok, Twitter. You needed to basically follow us. You got entered into the draw, and at the end of the weekend on the Sunday evening, we went in and picked a name out, and it was a chap by the name of Harrison Eisted. Hopefully I've pronounced your surname correctly, Harrison, but I've had a response from Harrison now. He's now received it and sent us through a lovely photo of him holding it. So yeah, that was a really great competition and a really good way to engage with the people walking through the Star Wars zone. There's a lot of people that hadn't heard of hot toys, didn't know what they were. We took along a hot toy with us. It was the Boba Fett from the Book of Boba Fett series with the fantastic Tamura Morrison head sculpt. It grabbed a lot of attention. We showed people what hot toys were, and then all of a sudden they wanted one for themselves. So we had lots of entries to that. And we also had a set of the Cantina Alien Geeky Tiki muglets that Geeky Tiki kindly provided us to give away at the event. And to enter that one, you needed to hashtag us on a photograph that you took at the event on Instagram, and we drew a name out at the end of the weekend. And I think it was Darth Elvis who won that, wasn't it, Stu?
It was. He'd post up a lovely post about, it was at the panel actually, a photo of us three on stage, and just a post saying that he'd come away from the weekend and we'd got a new listener and he'd really enjoyed engaging with us and enjoyed the panel and whatnot. So it was a lovely post, and well deserved in that regard as well.
So yeah, so a massive thank you to Geeky Tiki for the muglets, and also to the generosity as well of Lee Ward over at The Good, the Bad and the Robots. If you want to go and check out what else he's got on offer, head over to The Good, the Bad and the Robots.co.uk, or you can phone Lee directly, and he's happy with his phone number being given out. It's 07359 119 857, or you can head over to Facebook and search for The Good, the Bad and the Robots. And if you want the latest from Lee in terms of what's coming out, search on Facebook for The Good, the Bad and the Robots chat. That's the one that I found a lot more interactive, and Lee will post up there the latest on what's coming into stock and when he's going to be shipping the hot toys out.
And if you do struggle to remember that number, you can phone Dan on 079 509 and ask me it again. No, thank you, Lee Ward. Also, go and check out that interview. It's a brilliant interview. That is a belter. Dan did a great job on that. Jeff, you'll like that because Dan hosted that without me. Really, really good.
I was just about to say the same thing, but I got muscled out and don't get much time to talk.
Around here. You don't talk. What I will say is we learned a hell of a lot about what to deliver, what brings people in. It was a real learning curve for us, and I know that when we do future events that a lot of things will change from doing that event. I think it was a really important exercise for us. I thank Showmasters, I thank Jason Joyner, and massive thanks to Dave Tree for allowing us to be there to participate. We took up a hell of a lot of space, but it was a hard working weekend. I mean, we weren't going to bed till 12:30 at night, Jez, 1 o'clock some nights, back up at like 5:30, 6. But it was quite a fulfilling experience. It was good, and I, for one, thoroughly enjoyed it. We will be back.
Definitely.
In the town where I was born, lived a hermit near the Dead Sea, and he told us of his life on the planet Tatooine. So we gazed at the twin suns and to the stars we like to dream, listening to the hum on the planet Tatooine. We all live on the planet Tatooine, planet Tatooine, planet Tatooine. We all live on the planet Tatooine, planet Tatooine, planet Tatooine. All my friends have moved away to the Imperial.
I mean, actually, looking at the show notes tonight, there is announcements, but they're not as heavy as what they sometimes are. But the news seems to be a bit more full from the last show. First of all, you covered the Reaver Force FX lightsaber, the HasLab project. Dave was positive it was going to get funded, and it didn't. Jez, just how far away was it?
Yeah, man. I had said back then, there's no way this is going to happen. I love Moses Ingram. I really did. I thought she was great, and I liked her character. But there was no way this was going to go. It didn't even reach a third of what they needed. So quick recap, right? So the crowdfunded project for the Black Series Reaver, the third sister, Force FX Elite lightsaber, not just any lightsaber, an elite lightsaber, which it would cost us in the UK the sum of $459.99. They had a target of 5,000 backers, and this crowdfunded project was open from May the 28th to July the 12th, so a fair amount of time, and it didn't even get 28% of the required backers. It got 1,413 backers. So, quote, due to lack of backers, unfortunately, this product will not be produced, and I am not surprised.
No, I was quite surprised when I heard it back. Dave going, I'll definitely get, because I thought it was such a bad choice. I said earlier I would have banked the Rancor now, in hindsight. I would never have gone anywhere near this. The price of it alone. I mean, how much did we pay for the Razor Crest, Dan?
Was it 300 and something pound, 350 maybe not quite as much as that, something in that region.
This was more.
Yeah,
£100 more if it was at your upper end. Then that's just crazy. The FX lightsabers, all right, it's quite a cool lightsaber, but FX lightsabers are released all the time for 200, 250 quid. I know it's got two blades, it's double bladed, but there's better sabers out there that probably represent Star Wars more. I was it was just a surprising item. Are we due another HasLab before the end of the year?
Potentially. There's an event, isn't there? They're like a online Hasbro convention type deal on the 22nd of September. My bets would be on the next one being announced then, but I don't know, maybe they're a little bit scared of Star Wars now. Maybe they'll do another Action Force or whatever it is, G.I. Joe or something else. I don't know. That's two on a row that's failed. I'd like to think that they come back strong with another vintage collection vehicle that everyone can get excited about, but these Black Series ones don't seem to be hitting the mark.
Just need to be a bit more intelligent about what they're doing and recognise this as the market research it is. Poor market research, embarrassing market research. But at the end of the day, why was it the Reaver one? Why wasn't it an Inquisitor one? I noticed when I was watching Kenobi that all the Inquisitors wear their lightsabers on their back, apart from Reaver, who wears hers on her hip. But apart from that, what were the difference? Why did they have to specify that it was Reavers? And were there people who was slightly put off because of all the sort of background distractions and stuff which accompanied the beginning of the series, when people were complaining about her, and there was worries and clear racism out on social media and stuff like that. Did that whole situation mar the selection of this, and did it just turn people off? If it had been the Inquisitor's lightsaber, would it have been more popular?
Do you know what? If this had been 250 quid, I wouldn't have backed it. To be quite honest with you,
I
it's
think
just no interest in it at all. I think Dave hit the nail on the head last month when he said this is something that should have been sold at a Disney park where people who are, on holiday and got plenty of cash to spend, and they're in the moment and they'll buy it. It's not a HasLab item. You look at the Proton pack they released last year. I think that was about the same price as this. Fantastic. This is just another lightsaber to me.
Yeah, should have done a Lola. Drop that in there. Really, really smart one. Or, as you say, just go back to vintage collection ships.
Yeah, but just that's what's worked. I mean, you look at that. The Katana is amazing. The Razor Crest is amazing. Even if you dropped the N1 Starfighter, even if it was Anakin's bright yellow one, would have been backed. I would tell you now, if that was even an X-Wing or a TIE Fighter, it would have been backed. A nice one. I mean, just make something. We haven't got Sandcrawler. Open a Sandcrawler up and give us some robots to fill that display. Just a crazy decision for me. It really is a really odd decision, and at that price point, there was no way it was ever going to get funded. Absolute shocking decision by Hasbro. Really funny item.
We got all that out of our system last month, Stu, so it's your opportunity to vent.
Yeah, just a real strange thing. Well, talking about disgruntled collectors, I think the last 4, 5, 6 weeks, it has been disgruntled collectors throughout the community. We had San Diego Comic-Con announcements, a lot of announcements from there, but really it was all a bit like the HasLab lightsaber. It was all a bit meh generally. Dan, it hasn't been going down well in the collectors community, is it?
No, so I think there's a few things at play. I think I'll start off just by saying we've been doing our own chats, our own private chat, and we've been looking at certain figures. And I know Grant's been excited about vintage collection, and he's been taking figures off card and he's sending photos and how great they look. And there's been talk online. We're going to talk about the Dark Times Vader on vintage collection, and Dave last month was talking about the Miggs Mayfield figure that came out this year on vintage collection. They're producing some fantastic figures. There's some great product there. So I don't want to lose sight of that, because this is going to turn into quite a negative conversation, but they are producing some really good stuff. I think the other thing to put into context before we get into kind of the negatives is what's happening in the world at the minute. And I don't want to start getting on a downer and talking about potential recessions and the cost of this, that and the other, but I think one of the biggest things to highlight, I mean, I work in logistics, and what I think a lot of people don't realize is the cost at the moment of moving something from Southeast Asia to the UK or to the United States has gone up by it went up at its peak to more than 1,000%. So to move a 40-foot container from Hong Kong to the UK before the pandemic was about £2,000 to ship a container. Last September, that was up to nearly $20,000 a container. Because of the pandemic, because of all of the issues in the Suez Canal and all that stuff, the demand was just massive for these services. So they were charging £20,000 a container. So that's 10 times what it was. And then on top of that, although it started to come down, you're still looking at, and I looked this up today online, you're still looking at around £10,000 to move a container from Hong Kong to the UK. So the shipping costs now are massive. So when we start talking about the cost of things, I think people need to recognise that things aren't as cheap as what they were 2 or 3 years ago. But all of that aside, I think the things that are really upsetting collectors at the minute, I think there's 3 main points. One is the pre-order process. This whole thing of pre-order and everything now, if you get it in the shops, you're lucky you see it on the day you pick it up, but generally people are having to pre-order everything, and they've went into great detail last month about the ups and the downs of that. The second one, and we've spoken about it a lot over the years, but it's becoming more and more rife, is these repacks and repaints and kit bash figures. We just see more and more of that. And then thirdly, obviously what I've mentioned before, is the cost. Now, the one that really set people off during San Diego Comic-Con was this Slave One or Boba Fett starship that's received a release. Now, I've done a bit of research on this ship. Now, this is actually the 4th time the mold of this ship has been released. So it's not a brand new sculpt or anything like that. It's been released several times before. So it was initially released as part of the Rise of Boba Fett Toys R Us exclusive pack that came out. I think it was 2010 that originally came out, and it was packed with a Mace Windu's Jedi Starfighter. So you had the Slave One in Jango Fett colours, I call it, the Mace Windu's Jedi Starfighter plus 2 figures, a Mace Windu and a Boba Fett, and that whole pack was $100 when it was released. Then a couple years later, it was repainted and released as part of the Vintage Collection. It was an Amazon exclusive, and that was on its own. The ship itself was $70. Then in 2020, it was re-released again. At this time, it was Boba Fett Starship, but it was a re-release of the Empire Strikes Back colours for the 40th anniversary, and that was $150. And now they've released another version, or it's up for pre-order now, announced at San Diego Comic-Con, is the ship again in Book of Boba Fett colours, with a Boba Fett figure and not much else on top of what was already available. I think it's got a stand and a few other nice bits and pieces, which was $249. So you've gone from a ship that was released in 2013 in Empire Strikes Back colours, $70, $150 2 years ago, and now it's $250. And people have just lost their mind. You said you're giving us the same product over and over again. You've painted it a different colour, but we're paying this much more for it. Now, since that announcement was made, they have reduced the cost by $40, but I just don't think the appetite's there for people to pay $210 for something that you could go onto eBay now, buy the previous release for at least £100 or $100 less than the new one that's coming out. So I think it's created a bit of a logjam, and we're going to talk more about some of the things that they've announced in the Black Series as part of San Diego Comic-Con. You've got this Boba Fett that's been painted black. That's nearly £40 in the UK market. We've seen more credit collection, more repaints, and people have just said, do you know what? I'm out. I'm not collecting anymore. And there's been a lot of people saying that. Now, whether they actually do that or not remains to be seen. But several of the independent toy retailers, one in particular, Star Action Figures, posted quite a passionate email that he hopes that Hasbro will reading, really going into the state of affairs and venting his frustration at it, that they're basically killing the brand. They're just turning in too many fans off of what was a good thing that's quickly souring due to cost and lack of invention and new product.
I totally agree with you, mate. I've seen it. Especially, I'm not on a lot of vintage collection groups, but I am on Black Series groups, and some of the conversations on them is that people are just tired of the same thing over and over again. Right, so that leads us. We're talking disgruntled, but we've discussed this before. And Dan, I'm going to come back to you again. There's a big debate at the moment: plastic-free packaging from Hasbro. Obviously, all companies are trying to do their part. They're trying to reduce the amount of plastic used in toy packaging, in any kind of packaging. We see it all the time. Easter eggs were plastic free this year. The eggs were just lying in the bottom of the cardboard boxes. So there was some announcements coming from San Diego Comic-Con with what they are doing, because some collectors are worried that they're going to reduce it completely. What is the announcements been? What are they going to be doing?
So there's good news and there's bad news. The good news is if you're a vintage collection collector, if you collect Row or you collect the Black Series anniversary stuff or the credit collection, stuff like that comes on a card back, they will be keeping the bubble. There's a lot of talk, and I think we covered it last month with Dave, whether or not they do away with the bubbles and have these kind of cardboard figures sealed with a picture of the figure on the front of the cardboard bubble, but that isn't the case. So it is going to be the case that we are going to carry on getting retro vintage collection, Black Series anniversary and credit collection still on card back. So if you're into any of that, you'll continue to get figures on a card back and bubble. However, if you are collecting Black Series, the general boxed figures, they will no longer have a transparent plastic window from which you can see the figure. Instead, there will be a image of the figure on the front of the box. And you'll have to open the box up if you want to see what's inside.
Which is obviously going to cause massive disappointment with a lot of them, because a lot of people do. I mean, I say a lot of them, they display them in their boxes, but there's so many Black Series releases that people are displaying them with the side image. And that's still going to be there, isn't it? It's only the front.
Yeah. The thing that's, I think, and I'm gonna swear because I think it calls for it. The thing that's pissed people off, or Black Series collectors off, is that the way that they've described it was it was in the words to the effect of collector-led series would continue to have a plastic bubble. So there was a lot of people calling out on the Black Series page as well. Isn't Black Series collectors led then? It's not a child's toy. This is a collector series, and you're taking away the window from which we can see the figure.
That is a poor choice of words, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Considering the price points.
Dan, can I ask you a question? You may have just covered this a bit, but are the boxes going to be more like the Cad Bane box, which slides out? Because actually, they're quite nice. And if they put a sort of catch on them that they could stay open, they do display nicely.
They have it. Well, the image that they've shown is of a Stormtrooper box. They've shown some of the other figures that are coming. They look to be the same as the boxes of the standard Black Series figures with a box that opens from the top. And I imagine, and again, this hasn't been seen yet, I imagine it's in a cardboard tray with I don't know, some sort of cardboard ties holding it in position. There are obviously ones where they do get the fancy packaging. We're going to talk obviously about the releases this year, and I think there's the from San Diego Comic-Con, and there was the Cassian Endor that looks like it's got one of those boxes that slide open.
Yeah, it has because the droid slides out the opposite side.
Yeah,
with it.
I don't think that's well. My interpretation of that isn't going to be the standard packaging. It will be in the same size box as what the rest of the Black Series currently come out in.
And those boxes, in fairness, have been a little bit more higher price point as well. So
yeah,
there is a little bit more to them.
And the other concern from people who don't open the boxes up is the quality control at Hasbro. Lately, I haven't seen evidence of this myself. I don't buy huge amounts of Black Series, but people complaining about the quality control on some of the figures in terms of the paint application, that you won't be able to vet your figures before you buy one. So it's blind box. If you want to know what's inside, you've got to pop the seal and take a look see.
If you're never opening them, though, it doesn't really matter, does it? And you can't see it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and I think Dave spoke about it quite a bit last month, and we spoke about the packaging, and we talk about things like Transformers, where they've been in that style of packaging for some time. My son was collecting Transformers for the last couple of years, and until you open the box up, you can't see what's inside it. But they've made the point that Transformers collectors do open the box up. They do want to take the toy out and transform it back and forth, but boxed Star Wars collectors don't. It's going to be a bit of a watershed moment for Black Series. I think people all of a sudden start becoming loose collectors or walk away.
The thing is, they're trying to do the right thing, Hasbro. They're trying to reduce. There is a massive issue. But I can't hear any other suggestions coming from these collectors, because I did read on there, it was the most ludicrous thing, but they were talking about just leaving a little slit, which is open, but the dust trap. I just thought, well, what a Wally-ish thing to say. So if you're listening, that's a really silly comment. But what other options are there for displaying?
Well, the other argument is, let's take Coca-Cola as an example. So I don't know how much plastic is in a Coca-Cola bottle, but I would hedge a bet there's as much plastic in a small 300 half litre bottle of Coke as there is in the window on a Black Series box. So some people are arguing, well, I think the world's got bigger fish to fry than a few windows on some action figures. That's the other argument.
But
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's what's out there.
That's like saying, well, you're doing it, I'm not going to. I mean, I've read recently in the press that HP Source is trying to go back to predominantly, remember, they were always in that glass bottle, and they want to reduce by the end of, I think it was 2024, they're going to try to eradicate all of their plastic bottles again and go back to glass. I don't agree with the collector saying, well, they do this. I mean, everyone's got a responsibility in this. It's a very difficult topic.
But then you could argue, then should you collect vintage collection, because you're still getting probably just as much plastic on one of those as what you're getting on the Black Series.
Bit of a different thing to try to cover up. I suppose they're trying to do something rather than nothing.
Yeah, I think people should have the choice. I think there is room for people to have choice. So the people who are going to open them up should be able to go and go on to Hasbro Pulse and select a non-windowed version. And the people that do want to display in window should have that option. You're saying that the vintage collection is more important than the Black Series in collectors' eyes. I think there's room for both.
Yeah, people aren't Black Series now. So, and I have been. Do you know what? I used to keep the boxes, but I've got to the point now where I think to myself, do you know what? I'm just cluttering myself up.
Yeah, yes. I think that there will become will come to a point. I mean, as an example, and I know we're kind of jumping around subjects here. These San Diego Comic-Con exclusive figures, and we saw it all through lockdown as well. When the events didn't happen, they were put online, and those things would sell out real quick. So whether it was the Black Series Wampa, the free pack of the 501st, what else was there? There was the stuff that Craig got. Was it the Endor Chase pack? all that stuff was you had to snap it up. You had to be there on the day. It was sold out in half an hour. You can still go and pre-order all of that stuff. People just have gone, do you know what? Nah, not doing it. And I think there's a bit of a moment here. This is a Boba Fett figure, so unless they've made copious amounts of it, which if it's an exclusive figure, you wouldn't think that they would if it was going to be some sort of convention exclusive, or people have just gone, no, that's it, I've had enough.
Yeah,
I think a lot of British collectors have had enough because of, we go back, you were talking about the price, about just the unfair price differences. And I know that this could be linked to what you said about the cost of transportation, Dan, but when they're saying, right, yeah, it's going to cost you X dollars in the US, but actually add more to that and then convert it to pounds in the UK. That's, particularly with the Slave One fire spray Boba Fett's, spaceship, starship. That's where people were getting upset, and that has seen a price change, hasn't it? But
yes, so the prices at the minute, your standard Black Series, if you go into Hasbro Pulse now without any kind of sale items or anything like that, looks to be about $25.99. And your vintage collection, the newest figures are $16.99. So you're looking at £17 now for a 3 3/4 inch figure, or $25.99 for a standard Black Series. But once you start getting into deluxe figures and you start talking about exclusives and some of the credit collections, you're talking 40 quid or more now for one of those figures. And then I suppose you've got to question how much of this stuff you're buying. Me personally, I haven't bought Black Series for a while. I was buying my son some of the Bad Batch last year as they were being released. But I haven't bought Black Series for a while now. I've been picking up the odd vintage collection for my Rogue One run, but I'm much more comfortable now paying a couple of £100 for a hot toy at those sort of prices for Hasbro products and feel like I'm getting real value for money. Then that's not to say the prices of hot toys aren't going to go up in future, but for 200, 250 quid, I can go and get an Obi-Wan Kenobi hot toy that, okay, it's not going to come out for 12 months, but I'd rather know that I'm going to get something quality that I'm really going to be happy with than a blind box Black Series action figure, maybe 10 of those for the equivalent price. I think people just need to weigh up how much of this stuff they're going to be buying going forward, and I think that's what some people have been doing and said, no, that's it, I'm out.
Well, the retro collection you spoke about, that has to have a bubble or it just can't exist. I don't mind the latter really, because I've not been taken with the retro collection. The vintage collection, yeah, absolutely, I'm delighted that they're sticking with the bubble. What's going on? I must have missed it. You guys will be over the vintage collection, which comes in boxes. The first one I noticed was on the Book of Boba Fett, where you had the Fennec Shan is a bubble, carded with bubble figure, and then you have the Boba Fett in a box.
I've bought one of those to review on TikTok in a 2-minute TikTok, Jez.
Right.
And that you're going to open that one, are you?
Yeah, it's going to be one of my 2-minute reviews. Yeah.
I'd be intrigued because I've not seen any videos that are opening, but my understanding is they're deluxe figures, right? So they've got a bit more than just the action figure. That's why they've argued the box, but I don't think that's that. I know we spoke about it last month, Jez, and I was kind of in the place that they were going to go that far and take the bubbles away, but that was the announcement that they're not. They're going to keep putting the bubbles on there. Hopefully they'll take away the silly bit of bloody paper they've got in the bottom of the bubbles. But
I actually quite like the box. It throws me back to, Jez, you recently bought the Endor playset.
They're like mini rigs, aren't they?
Yeah, I just kind of there's something vintagey. I know it's the vintage collection, but there's something that's another option. I mean, I wouldn't want to have it all like it, but it's quite nice. It's the Stormtrooper broken helmets, which are really, I haven't opened it yet, but they look really nice. 2 smashed helmets with bits broken off them. I just think they look nice for display.
Were they originally actually good helmets, but it's just because of a lack of packaging and plastic they smashed?
But that wasn't the first time. So even going back to the early days of vintage collection, back in the early part of the last decade, they were releasing similar things. So you had the Death Star, what they called the scanning crew. So they came in a box similar to that. And also there was an Ewok set, I think a couple of Ewok sets they bought out in similar boxes.
Yeah, I think there's a place for them. I think they're quite nice. I think there's something a bit different. And when we look at our vintage collections, you did have different items coming out alongside the main toy range. And I just think they're just a subline of that. I think they're nice. I think they should be embraced. Like I said, I wouldn't want the whole range in it because it's not actually much bigger than. I don't think it is bigger than a card when you look at the size of the box. It's got all the rubbish warnings all over it yet again. But
I was just not confused with it, but it threw me a little bit because I've been used to the vintage collection. I knew where I was. I was like, one of each film. I want to get one of this. Oh, hang on a second. Where are they going with this Book of Boba Fett? And the Mandalorian, you got the Imperial Stormtrooper with the M-Web, or what we used to know is the the vintage laser cannon. that comes in a box. And I was thinking, oh no, is that how it's going now because of this no bubbles? So if they're going to do a combination of the two, then no, that's all good.
You need one of those for your collection, Jez.
I think I do, mate. Yeah, you're right.
I'm definitely right. Well, boys, I mean, this is probably going to rumble on. We're going to see more of this as the months progress. We'll definitely try to keep on top of it, but it is an interesting discussion. So let's just finish the news on a very quick positive thing. Another Andor trailer. The date seems to, I'm sure it was meant to be coming out 31st of August, but it's suddenly the 21st of September. 3 episodes on the release, 12 episodes. It's brilliant. But that trailer, the most recent one, has got me quite excited for this. I've been quite excited about Andor anyway, but there's something about it. It is, I just think the period it's set in, the opportunities are endless. What was your boys' reaction to it?
Totally. We all loved Rogue One, didn't we? So I had high hopes for this. The teaser trailer, I was like, all right, okay. But I think the pennies dropped with everyone after having seen that. And you're right, it's the whole timeline. People are like, oh, hang on a second. This is the forming of the rebellion. It looks brilliant. The opportunities here are really, really good. And the actors, the people within it, and what you saw, they're blending so many things together. I'm really, really excited about it. And you know me, I don't often get excited about Star Wars.
I think I was a little bit, Andor, what are they doing a series on him for? But now I think I wasn't too impressed with the first trailer. The second trailer, I'm like, yeah, this looks awesome. You see everything, didn't you? See these clone troopers featured in there, Star Destroyers, then Stormtroopers. So I think it's really going to jump about the timeline. From what I've read, that this first 12 episodes takes place 5 years before Rogue One, and then Tony Gilroy's announced the second series is going to be another 12 episodes, and I think they're going to cut it into arcs, so different story arcs, so 3 episodes or 4 episodes per arc, and it's going to cover each year leading up to Rogue One, surging right into that movie. So yeah, it'll be an interesting series. Great to see Saw Gerrera in there. Looking forward to finally getting a vintage collection Saw Gerrera figure. So
when you collect the vintage collection, how does this act with you? Because Andor is a direct link to Rogue One.
Yeah, I don't know yet. I'm hoping they're going to carry on with Rogue One cards, but I think they're obviously going to plaster Andor over everything, can't they? So yeah. I'm undecided. I'm going to wait and see what they to see how the series goes. If it's as good as I hope it is, then I'll probably carry on collecting the Andor vintage collection. But yeah, if it's naff, then I'll just stick to Rogue One. But fingers crossed.
Do you know what my first thought was when I saw 12 episodes? Good God, when we do the end of the series cover up, Jez, how long was it for just talking for 6 episodes? This is double.
we might have to do two halves, but whatever. The episodes are only like 30 minutes long. They're not as. I think there's been some first reactions from it. There's no spoilers in there, but I think they've shown the press the first 3 or 4 episodes. And if you Google it online, and or press reviews, you can see that some of the guys have come out and started talking about it at a very high level, but just described it as being a very grounded series, very serious, very adult, but not adult as in adult. It's it's more of a serious, slow burn spy thriller by the sounds of it, but sounds really interesting. The interesting thing I did say, there wasn't a huge amount of fan service in there, so it feels like they're going to just get stuck into the story they've got to tell, rather than trying to have cameos of C-3PO and R2-D2 every 5 minutes, which
I think they've got to do that at some point, haven't they?
Yeah.
I mean, we've got to see this universe outside of the same people, the same places. Let's widen it now. I think we've had that fan service, and they're still going to return to that in other shows. But I'm looking
for fan service is seeing a clone trooper and a stormtrooper in the same
exactly. Yeah,
show,
you're right.
And we, as you say, you got Saw, Mon Mothma knocking out of the park again. It's just opened that box of possibilities now, which you think, all the other people, all the other characters, which are in other animated shows or have been completely forgotten, who could come in, and if they did, brilliant. It's just exciting. It's just really exciting times, and that the way in which it's been made already visually, looking at it, you think this looks very well done from a cinematography point of view. Oh man, I can't wait. Star Wars is great. We've got so much coming up. It's amazing. It's
a great time to be doing a podcast, isn't it? About anything.
All eras.
All passions. Yeah. Oh, Dan, you let me down. You went to say all Star Wars at the end. Struth, that's what you get, Jeff. Right.
To steal from the Empire? To just walk in like you belong? They're so proud of themselves. So fat and satisfied. They can't imagine that someone like me would ever get inside their house.
Cassian Elder. The Empire is choking us so slowly. We're starting not to notice. What I'm asking is this. Wouldn't you rather give it all to something real? I need all the heroes I can get.
For the greater good.
Call it what you will.
Let's call it war.
There's fermenting out there, son. Pockets of fermenting.
You're in my net.
Are you a fish?
Or are you a thief?
You're slipping.
I'm not slipping. I've just been hiding for too long.
As long as everyone thinks I'm an irritation, there's a good chance they'll miss what I'm really doing.
What are you really doing?
This is what revolution looks like.
I'm tired of losing.
Right, on to this month's announcements. Obviously, there has been San Diego Comic-Con, so there has been certain things coming out. We've obviously already discussed quite a bit of disappointment within collectors in certain areas. So we're going to do our usual. We've got 5 sections tonight. And let's start off with the vintage collection announcements from our man, Jezebel.
That's me, vintage collection man extraordinaire. Going to start off with this Darth Vader, the Dark Times. Now this can make a man moist. Because I looked at this and I thought that this looks good. I like this a lot. Obi-Wan Kenobi, I wasn't overly impressed with the previous card art, whereas this card art and figure combination itself, this Vader looks brilliant. Dan, take it from you. This is a completely new sculpt, isn't it?
Yeah, and a lot of people are very excited by it. Lots of people posting photos now. They've got it in hand, and it looks awesome.
Yeah, really, really impressed with that. But we're gonna scroll on to the Obi-Wan Kenobi multi-pack. Now, this is an Amazon exclusive, and I'm going to come on to this in a minute from a price point of view. These multi-packs, I just very briefly want to know what you guys think of this from an aesthetic point of view. So this comes with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Tika, who was the Jawa, who he had the exchange with, who was trying to sell him a lot of stuff which he had stolen from him, and a Purge Trooper Phase 2 armor. So that's 3 of these together in a multi-pack. Amazon exclusive. What do you think about these guys?
They did another one of these Amazon exclusives last summer. So it was a Bad Batch set they did, which was basically clone troopers with capes on. From when the Bad Batch ran into Rex in that bar in Bad Batch. It reminds me of those Italian sets.
That's what I was about to say, Dan. I just said it a minute ago. Them giving us little tidbits from vintage when you were collecting, and this is what that screams to me. I like it. Maybe not. I think maybe a strange combination of figures in there.
Well, the Italian and the German multi-packs, so these weren't triple packs. These came 4 carded figures together. So 4 of them together with a folded bit of cardboard over the top, holding them all together. So you saw the card art for the one which was on the right. It wasn't obscured at all. What you've got with this is 3 figures, not 4. And the card art is completely obscured. So whilst I do like the callbacks and the shoutbacks to the original vintage, what the vintage collection is sort of, try to brand itself on, I think it just misses the mark slightly. And where it misses the mark more for me is Amazon exclusive, $51.99. So this is 52 quid for 3 carded figures. There's no massive incentive there, is there? What's the incentive? I can't see the card art, have to keep them all together, and I have to pay a good, 18 quid each for them. Are they a little bit more expensive than you thought? 17 quid, 18
So
quid?
how much is a vintage collection figure now? 13, 14 quid?
17 quid.
Well, there you go. That's 3 times then, isn't it? That's what it's coming out as. Are these available in the UK, or are we talking American only?
Yeah, this is Amazon UK. I'm looking at this, $51.99. Pre-order price guarantee. That's what it says. So it could go up, could go down, but this is what they're saying, pre-order price guarantee. So yeah, I mean, it's all right. Floats your boat, doesn't necessarily float mine, but we'll move on.
Has it sold out the last time you looked? Because that's really interesting. The fact that's available, that's really telling as well. Because these things, like the Bad Batch series last time, was really tough to get, and it came to the UK quite late. So American site, instant the day it was announced, you could go on Amazon and buy it, sold out in seconds. UK came much later, but it was sought after. This is obviously not a shifting as quickly, I would suggest.
Yeah. Okay. So what we'll do very, very quickly. And I'm now currently on the east coast of the USA. So let me have a little look, right? Amazon.com. Star Wars multi-pack. $50.99. So let's have a little look at that. This is going to be released March the 13th, 2023, or £51.99 sterling. Both sides completely available. So if I say, £51 in dollars is $62. So yeah, we're paying an extra $11 over the States. Stu was sold by it. You were kind of in the middle, and I wouldn't worry about that.
I just like that throwback. I get what you're saying about just the header, but as you've seen from the vintage headers, I mean, the cards can come loose quite easily. Putting it into a box this day and age is probably a more secure way. I get where you're not seeing the card art, but that would be in a plastic window in something like this, which they're trying to move away from. I know you've got plastic bubbles. I just like the fact that they are looking at all of that other vintage stuff, and they are trying to make that appeal. I think they're trying in that respect.
Yeah. Well, we're going to move on to the rescue set. So this is going to be a San Diego Comic-Con rescue set exclusive. So Mandalorian box art. No, it's a bit of a weird one. I can't quite explain it, but the box art on the front isn't one scene, isn't one picture. It's 2 different scenes which are a very similar backdrop. So it just looks, the composition of it just seems slightly strange to me. It just looks a bit weird. But let's look at the content itself. So what have you got? You've got Mandalorian itself with all sorts of accessories coming out of him. You've got Grogu with his little handcuffs, bless him. You've got Moff Gideon, and you've got Dark Trooper. But what you have within this box is the backdrop, is the sort of scenes themselves. So a little bit more playware from that. Having said that, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the visuals which are available for us, and there's a tremendous amount of packaging, plastic packaging, within this boxed item. So, yeah, boxed item with no windows whatsoever. Inside, in addition to all the figures and the backdrops, etc., they're all held in place with plastic. I don't think that's necessary, because you're either going to get out of the box and display it. And anyway, my point is, I think that's an overuse of plastic within there. But it looks all right. One of the comments which has been said is the Dark Trooper is just, from a scale point of view, is just way too small. But on the whole, looks pretty good. I don't know what the costing of that is yet. What do you guys think of that one?
I think you hit the mark there with the plastic. I don't understand it at all, because if they were just like strapped in, like you get so many toys in this day and age, you could display that in its packaging, but out the packaging, if you get what I mean. Just pull that thing out and display it. I don't understand all that plastic bubbling. It's made it look awful. So you've either got to display it in the box or open it completely. It makes no sense, that plastic. And you're right, the Dark Trooper is way off height-wise compared to Mando. I think Mando's got a very slight advantage on him, actually, in height.
So, what am I else going to go on to? Now, this next one, Amazon exclusive, now already showing temporarily out of stock. So there you go, Dan. This is one which is going okay. And this is the Retro Collection Special Bounty Hunters 2-pack. So it's Boba Fett and Bosk. And look absolutely like the original Empire Strikes Back figures in a great box.
So yeah, they did the Dengar and the IG-88 in a similar box. That was a few months back. Maybe it was Christmas time. Oh, Boba Fett's had plenty of releases, and they just do Forlorn and Zuckuss in one of those boxes.
They've already released them, haven't they? As Black Series, they normally come out quite quickly after a Black Series release, don't they? Obviously, can just shrink the mold of some description.
I know that we've already covered the Boba Fett Starship, really, haven't we? So again, that one's coming out. Don't know if you guys got anything additional to say on that, apart from the fact that that price has been dropped, hasn't it, by all accounts?
Yeah, 40 quid in the UK. I'm not sure in the US. I looked on one of the US websites. It was $200, so it feels like it's come down over there as well.
Would you go for something like that? I mean, it's a lot of money. Take the price point away. But...
No, I wouldn't.
No, not for me. Not for me. It's just space for ships, isn't it? I've got enough vintage ships that are boxed, let alone start buying. I mean, the Razor Crest is taking up. I've made a point of I'm going to keep that on display for as long as I possibly can. But I've got that sitting across the top of 2 Deltoffs, and trying to find space for a Slave 1 is just not happening right now.
So then we go on to the pipeline reveals, which have been found on the back of a card back at San Diego Comic-Con. You guys might have to correct me on this. So Tika, Jawa figure VC258, shows on the back of that several upcoming figures. Now, for my benefit and the benefit of listeners who might not be aware, guys, pipeline reveals, just explain the background about all of this, because they're talking about Luke Skywalker, an Imperial light cruiser, former pipeline reveal, Artillery Stormtrooper, former pipeline reveal, and Cal Kestis, Cassian Andor, and Vel Sartha. What's going on with all this?
So I think that they were previously with these pipeline reveals, they just show an image of the character, a screenshot from the series or movie to give you an idea of what's coming. But this is obviously a physical representation of the toy that they're showing for the first time.
But I thought that's exactly what this was. They're saying that these are seen on the back of a card.
Yeah, I think they've just so they've just shown the back of the card. I'm assuming that because of that Tika is going to be in that 3-pack, they've got that in hand, so they've decided to show the back of the card to show what else is coming, just probably a little bit earlier than they could show the final card back for the figures.
In its own way.
They wouldn't normally do it like that. They wouldn't normally show a card back. They would show an image of the character, which in some of them they've said these were previous pipeline reveals, but it's odd that they never show. I mean, the Luke Jedi and the Cal Kestis, they showed both of those as individual releases, but the other figures on the back there were new news, I think, other than the Tika maybe as well.
Who is
Vel? So, Craig. Vel Sartha is from Andor.
There was one other vintage collection figure, which was the Klatooinian Raider, which was originally packed with the ATST Raider that came out when the first series of Mandalorian aired. So it's I think we spoke about it the other week, Jez, the Mad Maxed up version of the ATST. You was questioning why it had a red leg. So it's essentially the pilot to that ATST. When that came out, you could only get that figure with that vehicle. Then they're going to card that for the first time and put it on release for everyone. In terms of retro collection, there were a couple of other announcements. So they released a couple of months ago a box with the 6 figures from the first 12 that they released a couple of years ago. So the Luke, the Han, Ben Kenobi, Vader, Leia, and Stormtrooper. So that was the first wave of retro collection. What was that, 2019, 2020? A couple of years back now, wasn't it? There was all the vintage collectors were kicking up saying, people are just going to rob the weapons out of the packs and try and flog them as the real thing. And I don't think any of that's come to pass, but they've re-released those in a nice box. They still come carded in the box, but they're doing the other 12, the other 6 of the 12 now. So we're getting another box of those, and that is going to feature Sand People, Ben Kenobi, Death Squad Commander, a R2-D2, a Jawa, and to much applause, a VAC metalized C-3PO that everyone's got very excited about because they haven't done VAC metalized figures for some time. There's always been a whole thing about the cost of it and the damage to the environment, but they were talking about it during the panel that they had at Comic-Con, saying they found new, cheaper, more environmentally friendly ways of VAC metalizing figures. So good news if you like your VAC metalized figures and you wanted the second half of the first 12 released.
I like them, Dan. Again, I think that's another throwback to vintage. I mean, we had the 6-packs in the Empire Strikes Back era in very similar style boxes. I do think they look at that.
I was going to ask, so maybe I dreamt it, but I've read that these boxes that these come in were a limited release back in the day, and that these are actually vintage boxes recreated, that you could buy 6 figures in a box like this. Have I got that wrong? Have you guys heard that? Maybe one of our listeners could help with that, because maybe I've got that completely wrong, but I thought that box itself was a throwback to something that resembled them back in the day. So more pipeline reveals this time for the Empire Strikes Back 40th on the retro collection. So they've announced the figures that they're going to be producing for that wave, I'm assuming around May next year when it's the 40th anniversary. So there's going to be a Luke Jedi, a Leia Bush, Han Trenchcoat, Lando Skiff, the Emperor, and a Biker Scout. So I think when we did the last wave of, I think it was the Empire figures, we were discussing which figures would get released for the Return of the Jedi. I think we got a couple of them right, but there's some. I think the 2 that stand out for me there that shouldn't, well, 3 of them really that didn't need this release was the Bush, the Hand Trench, and the Lando Skiff. I think they're in pretty good supply, so I'd have liked to see an Emperor's Royal Guard in there as well for the people that troop build.
An Ewok,
yeah. I just don't think it's a great selection of figures there. I think the Biker Scout's great, maybe the Luke Jedi, but the rest of them I could probably live without.
They're really good sculpts, aren't they? The Bush and the Lando Skiff. I guess they've always been quite popular sculpts. Yeah. I just still celebrating the fact that because of the most recent Those Old Fossils podcast, where we spoke a lot about the Klaatu, that's the reason why the Klaatoonian has been re-released. That's just a success all around. Well done, Generation Skywalker.
Here we go.
Exactly. Well, there you go. Vintage collection. Plenty for you to sink your teeth in there, Jez. I would maybe start expanding to more than one. Have a little look. But I do think you need a 6-pack. I do think you need a box version. I do think you need the 3-pack because you got to tick all the boxes.
Right.
Be that guy. Dan, over to you then. Black Series. I think
yes.
A similar sort of amount to the vintage collection.
Yep. So I'll tackle the Obi-Wan Wednesday related ones first. So we got a 1 Jack, which is the Forlom or Zuckoss droid, depending on what you want to call him, from the Kenobi series. He's getting a release. We've got Tala as an Imperial officer, a Ned B figure, and a Obi-Wan Kenobi on Jahib. That you say it? So you'd think I got this right after the last show. Jabim.
Jabin. Yeah.
Jabim. So we're getting an Obi-Wan Kenobi from Jabim and a Tika on 6-inch as well. So they're all of they were announced through June as the episodes were airing. They had these Obi-Wan Wednesdays, so they were drip feeding us essentially a wave of Obi-Wan Kenobi Black Series figures. Then we got a couple of San Diego Comic-Con related figures. I'm still really scratching my head on whether these were exclusive or not. I think you could pre-order them at the event, but I don't think you could walk away with one. But you can, I think general public is still going to be able to buy them as well. So really confused why San Diego Comic-Con's got anything to do with these, but let's move on. So there was a Cassian Endor and B2 Emo. I think it's quite a good name for a droid. B2 Emo. I wonder what that's all about. A 2-pack, I think that's retailing for around $59. Not available for pre-order yet outside of the Comic-Con, so that one's not gone up for any sort of pre-order yet. And also the Boba Fett in disguise, which I've already mentioned, which is from the comic series from the War of the Bounty Hunters. So this is essentially your Boba Fett painted black with an axe. That comes in one of these fancy comic series boxes with the Velcro front that you can open up to see the figure inside. That's available now on Hasbro Pulse, and also In Demand Toys have it, and it's looking to be around £40 for that. Now we get into some of the more controversial stuff, I think. So we've got the Halloween collection. So there's 2 figures been announced so far for this. Not sure if there's going to be any more. One is a clone trooper painted back with a skeleton kind of costume. How would you describe that, guys? Is that like a skeleton costume? So he's got the bones of the skeleton painted on his armor, and also a Chewbacca with wolf ears to look like some sort of wolf man. This is the bottom of the barrel, isn't it? This is not good. Really? Are you serious? Will you be in the line with the Christmas figures that Stuart holds in such high regard? They've gone down the Halloween path now, and I think this is a symptom of Hasbro trying to cover too many different panels at too many different events. They had Celebration, now they've got this, and they're just trying to heap up anything they can to show the public. And yeah, I think that they were scraping the barrel with that one. Ugh. So yeah, they're coming in time for Halloween.
You know your B2 Emo droid?
Yeah.
Whenever I look at that, I think of Bob from the Black Hole. It's got that sort of real, I don't know, it's kind of tenuously linked slightly, but it looks a little bit like one of those sort of Black Hole droids. Bob, that's what I get, because he just looks so beat up and old.
Okay, so on to San Diego Comic-Con then, and what was announced there on the actual panel. So we've got and these are single packed figures. Essentially, these are the new standard releases that aren't any sort of repaint or repack, arguably. So we've got a Grogu with a pram and new articulated arms. So they've put a Grogu with a pram in a full-size Black Series box and are selling it at full price, which I think's a little bit of a Mickey take, considering you could buy Grogu on his own when he was still called the Child back in 2021 in a little teeny tiny Black Series box for, I think at one point, I picked Harrison one up for a tenner. And you could also pick him up in a 2-pack with the Mandalorian for about 30 quid out of Smith's as well. So yeah, I'm frowning at that one a little bit. And then we've got a Migs Mayfield in his season 1 outfit. So this was I forget the name of the episode now. Was it it was the Prison Break episode though, where he had the kind of the automated gun hanging off his shoulder. So they finally got round to releasing him in that figure. HK87. Now here's a question: who's familiar with HK87? I did go and look this up, by the way. I didn't know.
Was a weapon system.
Yeah, okay. So HK87 was an assassin droid. There was 2 of them in the episode The Jedi that guarded the magistrate, the lady that Ahsoka had the fight with at the episode. I didn't even remember seeing her having an assassin droid, to be honest with you. It's been that long since I saw the episode, but that's what they are. They've got soft goods. They look actually quite a good figure. And a Luke Skywalker from The Mandalorian. So there's an image on here that I've got in front of me. So it looks like the Luke and the HK87 are going to be some of the first figures released without the plastic window. The Migs Mayfield and the Grogu have still got the plastic fronts. So they're the 4 newly revealed mainline figures. And then the next repaints and everything else they released are the credit collection. So we've got a Mandalorian, a Bo-Katan, and Ahsoka Tano, a Boba Fett Nomad, Tusken Raider, and a Dark Trooper. So those of you not familiar with the credit collection, these come on vintage style card backs with concept art from the closing credits of the episodes of The Mandalorian, with figures repainted to look more like those concept drawings with a nice little plastic piece of Beskar or credit, however you want to describe it. Any thoughts on those guys? Anyone going to be buying those?
No.
I'm all right. Let's pass.
And then we've got 2 great gaming figures, so kit bashed repainted figures. So we've got a KX security droid, which is K2SO repainted with a nice little backpack from the what episode was it, where they had the Night of the 1,000 Tears that looked like Terminator, one of the Mandalorian related episodes in Book of Boba Fett, wasn't it? So they releasing that figure, and a B1 battle droid. I'm assuming that's from something like Battlefront. And then the other bits then they released, so the Hasbro 40th collection in Black Series 4 Return of the Jedi. So they've announced a number of figures for that. So there's going to be an Endor Leia, an Endor Han, a Lando Skiffguard disguise, a Scout Trooper, a Wicket, which is an all new figure, a Stormtrooper, a Paplu, which is a newish figure. It was released as part of that pack, I think, that Craig bought a few summers ago. And
it came out in his own box because I had bought it singly. I mean,
okay,
that selection and the Endor Leia and the Endor hand. I mean, give us something different.
Oh, there's more to come. So we've got a Chewbacca, we've got a Bib Fortuna, we've got an Emperor Palpatine, we've got a deluxe Boba Fett, and a deluxe Endor Rebel Commando. Now, apparently the Endor Rebel Commando is new. The photo showed 3 commandos. Among them was Rex. So people are suggesting that maybe Hasbro are going to have face plates with these figures, similar to the Hoth Trooper that was released for the 40th anniversary of Empire. And then also there was pipeline reveals in the regular line for K-80 Mundi, the Mandalorian. Apparently that's a whole brand new figure. We haven't got enough Mandalorians though. And a Black Chrysanthemum, which is hopefully better than that comic pack version they released a couple of months back. And then finally they announced a brand new Darth Vader Force Effects Elite lightsaber, which I'm pretty sure they're going to sell more of than the Reaver. So yeah, that's everything for Black Series.
Not a lot grabbing me there. Quite fancy a Ned B, but I think that's it.
Poor old Black Series, that's all I could say.
Bit uninspiring. But what isn't uninspiring, and it never is, and I could give you an argument to buy all of these. Hot Toys, Jez.
Yeah, okay. Give me an argument to buy them all then. Right, that would be interesting. The first one, I'm in agreement with you. I do like this Boba Fett. I don't know where you are with Boba Fett's in your collection, you two, from a Hot Toys point of view. I know that you are Hot Toy sort of aficionados, but this one does look good. Boba Fett. What I like in particular, and it's a very weird comment for me to say, from an accessories point of view, I think they're knocking it out of the park here, particularly with its flamethrower. The flamethrower there, I've seen accessories in the past where there's just a big chunk of flame coming out, but this one looks particularly realistic, and even the way it's curving round and the flames, the heat is rising coming out of this guy's wristlet. So this is a very, very good Boba Fett figure, $275 on pre-ordering now. And I like that one a lot.
Quite like the pose of him fighting Cad Bane. But I think it's probably too similar to the 2-pack one I've got. I think.
Yeah, and that's it.
A little bit different with the money.
I can't keep up with you with regards to your toy purchases, and I was pretty sure you had one of these to go with your Mando one. So you've already got the Boba Fett, so this is just on its own. Which one did you get then? As I said, I can't keep up.
I bought the 2-pack as well. In fairness, I haven't got it out of the box yet, but the 2-pack, Dan had one without the mask.
That's the 2-pack is from it's more of a Mandalorian figure than a Book of Boba Fett. This is the Book of Boba Fett.
Yes.
It's too similar though, isn't it, Dan? Would you buy that as well?
No, I mean, I think if you stood them side by side, I think there's significant differences in terms of the paint application and the vest. But I've got the Empire Strikes Back Fett as well. I don't need any more Fett in my life. I've got 3 Boba Fett figures effectively now. I've got the Nomad Fett, I've got the re-armored Fett, and I've got the Empire Strikes Back. It's not for me. I've got enough.
If I was to buy a second Fett or third Fett to go with that 2-pack, I would track down the holiday special one.
Yeah, it's nice.
Right. See, this, for me, I'm looking at it, and I know I don't know Hot Toys like you guys. I've ordered one, for the good, the bad, and the robots, but looking at this, it's just so beautifully detailed. The belt, if they're all like this, I mean, they are. This is why you guys are buying them. It is so well done with the gaffy stick, everything else which comes with it. It's just so poseable. Really, really impressive. I like this a lot. Move on to the next one, the Purge Trooper, which is a television masterpiece series. Hot Toys, $235. Reduce the price of this on pre-order. When I say they've reduced the price, it's cheaper than the Boba Fett, and it needs to be, because this, I don't know, something about this, guys. It's the legs. Don't like it. Doesn't do anything for me, this Purge Trooper. I'm going to move on unless you've got anything to say about this. I'm sure some people will love it. It just looks a bit meh.
The legs look a bit plasticky and cheap. They're a bit like a suit trouser.
Yeah, doesn't look good. I'm sorry fans of this. You know, the head sculpt looks good, weapon system, everything from the sternum up, everything from the sort of midriff up looks all right. Legs look rubbish.
I don't think it was prominent enough in the show to warrant a hot toy. I don't think we got a good enough look at it in the show. I think there was a couple of scenes it was in. There was a good moment when Obi-Wan cut one down. He had to hit it about 3 times with a lightsaber in the second to last episode, but not enough to warrant going out and spending 235 quid on a hot toy.
It's the same again, though, isn't it? It's a mould that's probably been done for something else, and they can repurpose it very quickly.
I think we'll see more of these Purge Troopers as we go forward, and we'll probably see more releases of it, and hopefully it'll be a bit more prominent than, at the minute. It's
what I'd like them to do, I know what you say about, they can do it because they've already got the mould, so it's just one which they can do. Right, stop doing stuff we don't want. Make the stuff we want quicker.
I'm with you.
It's just not difficult, is it? It's just economy of efforts. Just do it. Anyway, so the next one, Boba Fett arena suit. Had to look this one up. All right, so in Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters, comic fans learn what happened to the infamous bounty hunter before he could deliver the frozen in carbonite Han Solo to Jabba the Hutt. So this is that side story about, how it wasn't just a straightforward delivery, and there was all sorts of daring do and issues going on. So we have a Boba Fett arena suit costume, which if you've just watched the TV show and the main films, you just wouldn't recognize. Not on a scale of as that awful Halloween stuff that the Black Series were doing, but is there a marketplace for this? Yeah, there is, because it says join the wait list.
Do you know what, Jez? I opened it. I thought, here we go, another Fett, and they're using something else. And it's from a comic, which I'm not up for the comics. I mean, we don't cover the comics enough on Generation Skywalker generally. But then I opened it and I started looking through the photos, and it looks really nice. He's the kind of damaged cape at the bottom with all like it's been eaten by a rat or something, and the weapon, that great big kind of it looks like a take on a gaffy stick on one end, doesn't it? But that kind of like axe on the other end. I did look at it and think, oh, actually, do you know what? It looks stunning in a collection.
He looks like he's a member of SO19, or he looks like he's a tier 1 SF unit just about to do a knock-knock operation on someone, because he's wearing all black, he's got his head covered, he's got tactical close quarter battle weapon system. You know, he's looking pretty punk. It is looking good. So initially, as you said, first look, I was like, yeah, not really sure, but it's clearly popular. It's got his arms to the teeth, and if you want one, you've got to join the wait list.
Yeah, this were it's kind of I don't know how they work it. I think last year they released the Armourer, which was literally, you know, the day it was announced, you could get it shipped here, but I think you could only order it through Hong Kong retailers. It's some sort of convention season exclusive. You know, someone like Sideshow or even, you know, Lee. I don't think they'd get that in stock. I think you could only order it via certain methods. It wasn't a genuine release as such.
What they did with this, though, because they didn't have to worry about a TV show. You know, this comic was written a while ago. They didn't have to worry about Lucasfilm holding stuff back from them and details from them and not having detailed pictures for them to reference. August 22. What, you mean now? That's the point of this subject. It's available. You know, they've just announced this and they're like, yeah, it's going to be shipping August 22. Or have I made a mistake?
No, yeah, it's
last quarter. But it's, yeah, do you know what? The comic books have got a massive following, so people will know what this is. They'll maybe resonate with it, and that's where we're probably not seeing it. But yeah, I still think there's something about it.
But how many Fets there are? Like you mentioned already, how many Fets there are. I mean, the Fett collectors are like, they're going to be all over this. So, you know, you've got the prototype Fett on Hot Toys, you've got the holiday special, you've got the Kenner Colour one, you've got this one, you've got... I think the Empire Strikes Back 40th came with the carnival that Boba Fett first made his appearance in the States. There's extra attachments you can put on and pieces, so you can create so many different versions of this character. It's crazy.
Yeah, as you say, first look, you're like, but actually, the more it goes on, I think it's looking better and better and better. So, yeah, fair one. Join the wait list. So we'll move on now, because there's one or two others. Obi-Wan Kenobi Special and Collector's Edition. Now this, you have to say, as soon as this came out, I was like, oh my word, this is fantastic. But I am going to come to you guys because I think there's been a bit of discourse on social media about the face sculpt and about the sort of possibly the beard in particular. But this is the Obi-Wan Kenobi Special Edition. You've got Ewan's Obi-Wan Kenobi with the rocks rising behind him just as part of his battle with Vader.
It is a very early example. I mean, it's not out until October 2023 to March 2024. So I would expect the face to improve before that. I think this is an early example for people to be backing.
And I've been on some of the pages where people have said the same, where there is generally, you know, something comes out and it doesn't look quite right. It could be the photos themselves and the angles they're taken at, and they do tend to improve the face sculpts if they get enough feedback saying people aren't happy with it. So it'd be interesting to see what the final product looks like. I've taken a punt. I've pre-ordered it. I think it'll be awesome. I've crossed my fingers. Same with the Luke Jedi. Everyone talked about Sega face on that one. He looked too much like the CGI rendition of Luke in the last episode of Mandalorian. But I've taken a punt on that as well. So hopefully I'm not going to end up with two figures that don't look right.
I can see what they're saying. I've got the photos open, and the two photos,
the top lip,
are up close. There is something doesn't sit right, but it does say under it prototype shown. But the fact, like I said to you earlier, when I opened Moff Gideon, I thought, wow, and I've always backed the Dooku one with Christopher Lee's face. I think to myself, that is amazing, and that looks. Where those, you look at them and you think to myself, crikey, that is really lifelike. Where that one you can see is clearly a figurine or a statue. I mean, I'm not saying they look like real people, those other two, but there is something slightly off of his face, but I would expect that to be rectified before the release.
Yeah, me too.
I think when I look at the face, the close up there, the sort of skin follicles, the freckles, the wrinkled furrowed brow, the bags under the eyes, all of that just look weathered. Ewan, I think it looks brilliant. The beard, yeah, I agree. And now I don't want to ruin the earlobes to you, But when you look at the earlobes of the particular one, it looks like someone who's had some very heavy earrings on for the majority of their life, and their earlobes have just dropped just a few mil permanently.
Just put his head up, it'll be fine.
I would be really interested to know whether Ewan McGregor's ears are like that, because they're normally spot on. I think everyone needs a Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan Kenobi representation in their collection, whether it's Hot Toy or Black Series. I think if you're a collector and I think he's one of the best things that came out of the prequels. I love you, Ewan. Me and you forever.
The stand which this one comes with is, particularly worthy of note with the rocks behind it. I know that they use the transparent acrylic, bringing it up and everything like that, but the accessories which this comes with, the little box of lightsaber hilts, the belt, the Lola, the weapon, or the sidearm rather, the lightsaber, it's all looking good. This is outstanding. I really, really like this. And if they can nail the beard, then they're on to an absolute winner. Talking of winners, the last one which we'll talk about like this is the Darth Vader Deluxe version and Special Edition, which has come out. It came out just after the Kenobi final, or finale of Kenobi. So you've got the Darth Vader with options of different chest plates, so getting his backside handed to him, and with the helmet which has been cut open, and you've got the scarred and aged and just awful looking Anakin behind that Vader helmet. It's brilliant. It comes with a whole host of accessories, and you've got holograms and miniatures and stuff. No one's going to be using those. This is all about the lightsaber. This is all about the face sculpt. It's perfect. It's really, really good. Dan, did you order this one?
I didn't, but yeah, I've got 4. I'm back up to 4 pre-orders again. Just when I thought they was out, they dragged me back in. I've got Vader the Empire 40th. It's my favourite hot toy. I wasn't going to buy this. I said I wasn't going to buy this. I haven't pre-ordered it, but I'm going to order it at some point. I just want to pay a bit more off of what I've got outstanding, and then I can't imagine this one isn't going to be one that's well stocked. I might live to regret that, but I'm going to hold back a little bit before I pull the trigger on that one. Okay. But as it stands, I want it.
So the Vader which you've got, is that an Empire one?
Yeah, so it comes with the Bespin stand. It's all lit up and it's priceless, brilliant.
Would you ever consider moving that one on to get this one?
Nah.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I was just thinking.
No, I've got my Empire Strikes Back display. That's my primary focus. But this is, it's a bit. As much as I, hopefully people who have listened to Obi-Wan Kenobi review show, as much as I dislike the show, like I said, there were lots of moments that I liked, and that end battle it's up there as, I think, brilliant Star Wars moment in time. It's a real milestone. I think that battle is fantastic, and the emotion, the whole bit at the end. I loved it. So I need that. I think I'm going to have to get that to go with the Obi-Wan. To be quite honest,
I think they have to be together.
I think they should have been a 2-pack, but there you go.
That's fine. I mean, my train of thought was, I've only ordered one hot toy so far, and that was the Bespin Luke, and if you didn't need your Darth Bespin one anymore, I'd buy that off you, and then that frees you the funds to buy this one. You see how it works.
I'll let you know how the year goes.
Yeah, all right. So
I think that is stunning, and I have literally just ordered that while you and Dan were discussing that, because I just think that is a must for any hot toy collection.
Yeah. So what'd you get? Deluxe version, exclusive collector edition?
Full booty.
Full booty. Nice. Yeah, it's really, really good. Oh yeah, liking that a lot. What's the Sideshow? Did you get it? Who did you order it through this time? Sideshow?
Yeah, just because that's where the link goes.
Yeah, and well, they're quite cheeky, aren't they? Because on Sideshow, because we know that we want to get ours from Good, Bad and Robots. There are other distributors available, but Good, Bad and Robots are the best. Collector's edition, exclusive edition, deluxe version, and then the deluxe version brackets exclusive, which is a Sideshow exclusive. So they're really trying to corner the market, aren't they? But as I said to you, the Sideshow exclusives, you just get the hologram miniatures
On the Obi-Wan, I haven't got the deluxe. I think it's just 2 lightsabers in a box is the bit you get extra with that, and I didn't think it warranted the extra 50 or 60 quid. And the Vader, I think if I do get it, I'll just get the standard. I think it comes with the bits you want. You want that head sculpt, you want the busted chest plate, and all of that. That does it for me.
Oh, it looks amazing. The cod piece looks a bit bigger. Anyway, right, moving on. So that was it from the main stuff. And just rapidly, there's been some teasers.
Oh, some nice stuff in here.
Yeah. So the first element from the teasers from the San Diego Comic-Con is the N1 Starfighter. But you wouldn't want that on its own. So now they're also doing Mandalorian and Grogu 6-scale figure set. So there you go. Got some epic pictures of there. Little Grogu in its bubble window in the N1 Starfighter with Mandalorian. Very, very good. Now, I do like...
I was going to say, do you know how big that N1 Starfighter is?
It's got to be pretty big.
So it's 3 foot wide, 4 foot long.
Holy moly.
There is debate whether or not it is just for the shows or whether they are actually going to release it or not. There's nothing confirmed. That's definitely going to be available at retail. I would love it. I don't know where I'd put it, but I would love it.
I think the fact that they've got it on their site would suggest to me that they're going to sell it.
Yeah.
I would be all over it. I think with the Razor Crest one end, that the other end, and then I've got the Mando helmet, and you've just got a few bits and pieces. That makes an absolute stunning display with big items, a real focus point.
I mean, scale-wise, it's all going to be wrong, isn't it? With that next to the Mandalorian ship. I mean,
but you have that laid out with some. You have that laid out with some hot toys and a helmet. It would look.
I mean, what you guessing at then?
Price-wise,
that N1 Starfighter,
at least $1,000, I reckon. At least $1,000.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Stu?
I reckon slightly under that. I reckon we're talking $750.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking of $1,000, but I mean, it's one of those things where you pay for detailing on these figures, don't you? Detailing on the accessories. And I'm not saying this starship won't be detailed, but it's just a big starship rather than all the intricate work, possibly. I still think it'll be $1,000 though. You won't get much change from $1,000.
About 250.
Final.
Sorry, not if you get caught at customs with it.
Yeah, no, very true.
So moving on, final 3: Pit Droid and BD-72, which from the Book of Boba Fett, what you would have seen in Docking Bay. It's a cute little robot, isn't it? That one, the BD-72. Quite like that.
I will buy that.
You will?
I will buy that because I love the pit droids in the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
And there's that throwback, and that would be quite a cheap 2-pack because they're not going to be very big. So I will be all over that.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that. I like that one a lot. Tech, 6-scale figure. Yeah, Tech. So Bad Batch, looking pretty good. Mm-hmm. Nice little leather strap detailing, and yeah, it's looking pretty smart from what we can see with just the one image. But the one which I did really like, and I'm sure that you guys will appreciate it, the R5D4. Coming soon. Looks really great. Looks battered. Looks sun damaged.
I'm so happy that they've moved this forward. That has been on their site since I started buying Hot Toys back when I bought Leia in 2017. That's been on the site as a teaser, and they're now talking about it again.
Quick
so
question
I'll be
for you.
delighted with that.
Question for you, and we can cut this out if you want. Have you seen the Mandalorian Season 3 trailer?
No.
Seen it, Jez?
I might have seen a moody copy.
Yeah, and there's quite a good copy now on YouTube. And in one of the closing scenes, Mando's flying the N1. He's got baby Grogu in his lap, and there is a droid port on the back of the ship, and there is a certain droid in that droid port, R5D4. So the fact they got that on display with the N1 Starfighter is pretty telling. I know he was in the scenes when they were building the ship in the Book of Boba Fett episodes, but yeah, sounds like that droid is going to play more of a part going forward.
But from a timeline point of view, he had a bad motivator.
Yeah, they obviously fixed him.
50 years earlier, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. It looks great, though. Looks really, really good.
I love it.
So, yeah, Hot Toys, as you said, bringing out some really, really high caliber stuff. Impressed with it all, really.
Yeah, definitely.
That Post Trooper.
Right. They do excite me. Right, let's move on to Lego. Hit me with the Lego. I mean, they seem to knock it out of the park each time as well.
So yeah, Lego, bunch of stuff was released on the 1st of August. We've got an AT-TE Walker, which is one of the Clone Wars walkers, the 6-legged jobs. nice to see the prequels getting some Lego love. I think we spoke about, what was it, the Jedi Starfighter last month. I've seen that on the shelves recently. This comes with a number of different clone troopers. It's more of Revenge of the Sith Phase 2 clone troopers than Attack of the Clones versions, and several battle droids. It's £120 and has 1,082 pieces. So nice little set there. We've also got Cad Bane's ship, the Justifier. That's getting a release, and that looks to be a Bad Batch related release. So that's got several figures with it from the Bad Batch, as well as Cad Bane. Is £150 and 1,022 pieces. Available now to buy on the Lego website. Another set that's recently been released is the Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader set, which is the duel from the 3rd episode of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, where they have the fight game, don't they, name in a planet. It was in a quarry pit, some hot rocks. Essentially the one where Obi-Wan got barbecued. I think I mentioned it at the start when I talked about my newest acquisitions. Nice little set. It doesn't do a huge amount. It's £45. Features a Obi-Wan Kenobi figure, features a Darth Vader. It's got a Ned B in there, Stu, if you like your Ned Bs, and also comes with an Imperial officer. I think it might be Talon now I think of it. Yeah, it's a base essentially with a couple of features. You know, you can pull a handle on, and a little tray with all the rocks falls out. You slide the bottom out and the fire flips up. Also, we've got some more blockheads. I don't think we've really spoken about these before on the show. They're kind of like the Lego version of Funko Pops. So there's an Obi-Wan Kenobi and a Darth Vader version of those from the show. And they've also released an Ahsoka Tano blockhead as well. Don't do a huge amount for me, those blockheads. You guys got any thoughts on those?
I'll give you an opinion on a blockhead. I always thought the same, Dan. I was look at those things. And my wife at Christmas took my little girl out to choose me a little gift as a stocking for that. And she bought me the Mando and the Grogu in the pram.
I've got that in a box. I still ain't opened it.
Mate, build them, because they are... do you know what? They're just fun little things. They've got a low price point, which is lovely, but they're just a bit of fun. I mean, they are what they are. They are blockheads, but no, they're quite fun. Quite good fun.
I might dig that out of my loft. It was in my box of for sale stuff, but I might give it a go.
I mean, you're not going to get much on the secondary market, mate, so enjoy it.
Yeah,
okay?
Fair enough. Thanks for that advice.
Pleasure.
So that's all your Lego.
Wonderful. Lego do a wonderful job. I am a big advocate for it. I think they smash it. So, as always, there's so much Star Wars stuff. Every month we could make a massive list of releases, but we try to limit it and we try to keep it tight. Miscellaneous items for this month. Daniel, you mentioned it earlier. A couple of helmets by, I don't know how to pronounce this, Denu Novo?
Yeah. We haven't spoken about these before, but previously they were a Novo. So I don't know if you remember when we've been to celebrations in the past, they've had a stand, they've got lots of nice helmets and prop replicas. But not really staying close to it, I didn't realise what issues a Novo had. I've looked online, watched a few YouTube videos, and essentially they were putting up lots of pre-orders. People were pre-ordering them, and literally years would go by and no product at the end of it. So there's a lot of frustrated collectors out there. In 2019, they changed their cancellation policy, basically stating that customers could no longer just cancel orders until the product was released, which created even more of a fury amongst fans. Apparently there was some situations at Celebration Chicago, shall I say, when people approached the stand to find out where their products were, and something's happened in the background. Anovo will potentially, their license was given to this new company, Denise Anovo, which is it's a partnership between Rubies. You've both heard of Rubies, right? So they do lots of costumes and Halloween related stuff, and Neko. So Neko and Rubies have teamed up to create this new company. They're fulfilling a lot of the old pre-orders that people had with Anovo. I think the Luke Skywalker helmet was one of the first that come out in the last few months, and there's a few people reviewing that on YouTube, comparing it to the Black Series X-Wing pilot helmet. And they're starting to come up with some new products. If you go over to YouTube, you'll find lots on their stand from the celebration. They've got TIE Fighter pilot helmets coming out, Clone Trooper helmets. But the two that we've got here, one is a Sabine Wren, which is a fiberglass helmet. It's got lots of nice wear. If you go on and look on the website, lots of nice photographs of that, lots of detail, certainly a lot more detail than what you get on the Black Series helmets. But you're paying for that. So I think for the Sabine Wren, you're looking at around £500 for that one. And on the Clone Trooper Phase 2 helmet, the clean version, which is essentially one that hasn't got any wear on it, again, you're looking at another £500 for that, plus getting it over into the country. So they are very pricey. The comparisons videos I've been watching with the Black Series helmets, yes, they are more detailed than the Black Series. They do look really good. They are very much a prop replica rather than a cosplay item, although you can use them in that way if you choose to. But they are, does the amount of detailing you're getting warrant the, essentially treble the price of a Black Series helmet. So I think people just need to go and check that out. But they are very nice.
Nice. That is a high price point when you compare them, isn't it? I mean,
yeah,
I quite like a helmet.
I mean, I've got a Stormtrooper one that I bought at Celebration, you remember, in 2016, and I've got that on display. I've got it next to my Darth Vader Black Series helmet, and in terms of quality, and I know it's a different company now, but you'd be hard pushed to say which one was Black Series and which one was a Novo. So yeah, I think people need to probably go and have a bit of a closer look, maybe in Celebration next year, assuming they have a stand there, and get some of this stuff in hand and have a proper look at it.
Yeah, I suppose it comes down to how screen accurate you want it, isn't it?
Their TIE Fighter pilot helmet, though, it does look really good. So you have a look at that as well. That's one they've had out for a while, but it looks superior. So they've got two versions of that. They've got the what was the game that came out a couple of years ago?
Cluedo.
With the red. Sorry, Cluedo. In the Battlefront game, the in game, there was the black. There was the TIE Fighter Squadron. I can't remember what they're called.
Battlefront 2?
Inferno Squadron.
Right.
So it's the black helmet with the red markings on it. They've got that, and they've got a standard TIE Fighter pilot helmet as well. They look really good. I think if I was to get any of them, I'd get that, but these are the two newest. So the Clone Trooper helmet and the Sabine Wren.
Beautiful. And a nice bit of backstory to that. So moving on, I put something from Royal Selangor in the show notes last time I was on, and you boys absolutely ripped it. Now someone else added this to the list the other day. Jez, what do you think of these? And what are they?
So which was the one we ripped?
Do you remember it was the Bespin, Vader and Luke figurine statue kind of thing?
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. So Royal Selangor do pewter busts, all sorts of stuff, but they've got a Star Wars range. I'm going to go on to these a little bit. So they've got Boba Fett and an Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they do two versions of each. So the standard Boba Fett bust, really well detailed, very limited edition of 800 individually numbered, and it's height 21 centimeters, including base, which is 16 by 9.5 centimeters. So reasonable size pewter. It's going to be solid. It's going to be extremely well made, and it should be for £399. So just a bust of, there we go. And you can look at that in comparison to maybe a Gentle Giant and think, right, completely different. This is just a pewter, so no colours, all colours taken out of it. Pewters look very well detailed. Boba Fett looks good. However, if that's not enough, they've then got what they call the gilt Boba Fett. Now this isn't guilt as in, I'm feeling a bit like a puppy next to a pile of poo guilty. This is 24K gilt pewter on composite resin pedestal. It's another £100 on top of this. So a goldy looking Boba Fett bust for £499. A limited edition of 200 of these. So 800 of the standard pewter and 200 of the gilt ones. What do you guys think about these ones?
I'd rather go and buy a Reva Haslab lightsaber, mate, to be honest with you.
Okay. It almost looks like something which you might have seen in the background on Solo. So when you were on the ship where you saw all the artifacts in the background, including sort of bits and pieces from Raiders of the Lost Ark and whatnot. Just, I don't know, looks like a museum piece, but not necessarily a Salt the Earth collector's piece like we are.
I think if you were very, very wealthy and you had a lovely snooker room, full-size snooker table, with an antique bar in the corner, I can just see that knocking around in there somewhere, just as a piece, just because you've got money and you want to spend it on something.
Yeah, indeed. If I had the money, if I had a load of money and £500 was just a little bit of pocket change, I'd be like, yeah, all right,
I'm with you.
But I haven't, so I'm not. So that's the Boba Fett, and then they move on to the limited edition Obi-Wan Kenobi figurine, which has got his Ewan and his classic lightsaber up, sort of a beam his face with his arm forward in his stance of, right, let's go. So battling the adult Skywalker on Mustafar, Kenobi gains the high ground. And so 2 different ones then. So again, you've got your standard and your gilt. So we've got the standard one, 1,500 individually numbered pieces. And then of the 24K gilt one, limited to 300. And this is £699. I think I prefer the Fett.
I prefer the Fett, yeah. I quite like the base. I think the base would look good on a hot toy.
Yeah. You know,
but the figure
good.
does absolutely nothing for me at all. Even if I had loads of money and a snooker room with an antique bar in the corner, I wouldn't be putting this in it.
Yeah. You know, but Royal Selangor, they've been doing this for a while. They've had ones which have completely sold out. They've done various ones. I've looked at their sort of back catalogue. You know, they had what people will commonly refer to as Slave Leia, now Hut Slayer Leia. You know, that one sold out. Various different ones. You know, you never know. These may well go.
The fact that they're quite limited probably gives you. I mean, I've just been scrolling down now. I've just come across the Luke and Vader from last month or a couple of months ago. £1,000. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got limited edition C-3PO ones. They've got Rey figurines. They've got all sorts of stuff going on. Darth Maul one's pretty good. Yoda. You know, they're not going to be producing these if there isn't a market for them. So you know, good luck to them.
Chess pieces are quite nice. If you had full chess set, that would go nice in a snooker room with an antique bar in the corner, with like a chess set laid out with the pewter pieces.
I think I can sense another project coming on, Stu. You might be converting the downstairs of your house into a snooker room with a bar and an antiques Royal Selangor piece.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Okay, I reckon that might be Jez's choice when we get to the outro shortly. Gentle Giant, you've just talked about them, the mini busts and all sorts. Dan, a few announcements from these?
Yeah, so there's 3 items. There's an Ahsoka Tano bust. So there's 2 versions of this. Unfortunately, the exclusive version is sold out, the web exclusive version. But it's essentially Ahsoka Tano, looks like from her Rebels appearance. So she's slightly older than her Clone Wars appearance. She's got a little owl on her shoulder. You know, can anyone know? Bit of trivia what those owls are called? I can't remember what they're called. She's got an owl on her shoulder. She's got a hood up, and the exclusive one came with a 501st Clone Trooper helmet buried in snow, and a standard version you don't get that little helmet buried in snow. So that's $129.99. You can still get the standard version of that, and also they have announced 2 others. So we've got a Purge Trooper from Obi-Wan Kenobi. So this is a premier statue. This is $200. I think we've already spoke what we think about Purge Troopers. I think we're going to get any more positivity out of that from what we've already discussed on Hot Toys. And they've also released, which I think we might be a little bit more excited about, is a Return of the Jedi Leia Organa Bouche disguise. So last month we discussed the, I think it was the Endor version, wasn't it, Jez? And now they're doing a Leia Bouche, which is very nice. I don't think it's quite as nice as the.
Do you think it's
one.
very nice, Dan?
No,
because it's removable helmet. I like it when the helmet's on, but I don't think her face is right. Her face is quite podgy.
I was going to say it's not as nice as the Endor one. The Endor one was, I think, out of in retrospect, in terms of what I would pre-order off of last week's or last month's list, it would probably be that. I did opt for a Lego, but in retrospect, that Endor layer was really good. But yeah,
when the helmet's on, I think it looks amazing, but there's something not right about her face for me on that.
No.
A little bit off. What do you think, Jez?
Yeah, helmet on. It's great. Fan of the helmet on. That's not for me.
Something not quite right, is it? There's something off there. But the helmet looks, when his helmet's on, it looks cool.
What you've got there, right, is a looky-likey. Whilst it's brilliant and the helmet is on, it looks brilliant. You take it off and it looks like someone who's trying to do an impression of Christina Aguilera but isn't Christina Aguilera. See what I mean? It's a looky-likey.
What a random choice.
I don't know. You're being dirty.
Hey, very good. Very good. You and your genie in a bottle. So it's someone, it's a hot toy, someone cosplaying Leia Bouche. That's what I should have said.
Gotcha. Anyways, so they're £200 a pop, those 2, the Purge Trooper and the Leia Organa.
Cool. Okay. None of them for me. But we sometimes cover them. We sometimes don't. They're too fast to keep up with. But we had to go to Funko Pops this month because there has been... Well, do you know what? There's 5 on this list, but I reckon Funko Pop by now probably had 30 Obi-Wan Kenobi range, Jez.
Yeah, they got loads. So they got 5 of the standard ones at $11.99. So you got your Roken, which I think is probably my favourite of them all. You got your Tala, so the Imperial Spy, I'm the Spy. You got Tala. You got Darth Vader, as you'd expect. You got Obi-Wan, and you got Reva, the third sister. So something for everyone. I like Roken. Maybe it's just because I just feel like I'm getting more from it. There's a lot more detail and it's got a weapon system. I like that. But then Funko, they do more of their stuff. They've got their keychains and various different bits and pieces and something for everyone. So, and they've still got the older version of Kenobi as well. But yeah, all good. A little bit of Funko, $11.99. I think you need one of those in your collection, particularly if you had a snooker room downstairs. It's all be good.
Antique bar. Cheap in the room, but not having it.
Rich mahogany.
Yeah, nice. You're getting in the mood now. Nice tartan carpet. Dan, Mission Fleet. Now, there has been quite a few announcements for Mission Fleet, but I thought we'd just go with just one. So this is the something out of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
So it's the reworked snow speeder from Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think it was the 4th episode, the one we all loved when they break into the Inquisitor's base. Comes with a character, I didn't know her name to be fair, Sully Stark, and it comes with a little turret gun, and it's a little snow speeder. I think if you took away the fact that it's used for hauling waste, it's not bad. If you're into that sort of thing, I think you're all over the Mission Fleet. Really, you're a closet Mission Fleet collector, Stu.
Do you know what? I
got a couple. I got a couple of bits.
Yeah, I best say I bought a couple of bits just to see what they were like, and actually as a toy for my daughter's age, she absolutely loves them. And she still plays with, I bought the speeder with Mando and Grogu and that, and she still sometimes, I see her mixed in with all her other toys. So I think they're quite a playable little thing. How I'm going to buy the range?
I was going to say that. Are you going to get this? That was the next question.
No, not for me. And finally, the Darth Vader FX lightsaber. Jez, Dan's already mentioned it. Anything to add on it?
Nice. Coming in November 22. It's about $280. It looks great. Yeah. That's what I'm going to say. It's really well detailed. I've never had one of these lightsabers or in hand, but they do look very good. And the Vader one is just so recognisable, isn't it?
Yeah, it is nice. What I will also add, I've already mentioned Micro Galaxy, kind of new action fleet, micro machine type things. But I read a great report today. I didn't realise how invested they were in this line. They've proper backed this right from the off. So like I said to you, go over to TikTok if you want to see me open one. But the Falcon looks amazing for this. Comes with little minifigures of Leia, Han, Obi-Wan, Chewbacca. But they have already announced that there is going to be, I think there's already about 50 different items announced or released in this line. They've gone with everything. They have proper backed this line. And they start from, I think the little blind boxes are a £5 in the UK. And they go up to 50, 60 quid, depending on the size of the ships. There's a price range for everything. But they have got Ventress's ships. They've got Gideon's TIE Fighter. They're all sorts of ships from all of the things. I think they've proper backed this range. I think that this range, when I got the X-Wing, when I went to buy it, I was expecting them to be 10, 12 quid for the X-Wing. Got to the counter, it was $17.99 in the UK, reduced from $19.99. And I thought to myself on the way home, maybe a little bit steep price point wise, but actually looking at it, nice. And the range looks amazing. I think these would look amazing on display.
So these are the action fleet micro machines type deal. Yeah. So we spoke about these
briefly last month, but the range has proper expanded.
Right.
With the announcements in the last 4 to 5 weeks, that the things that there are. So there's launch editions. I've got the launch edition X-Wing, so their package is slightly different. They've got something called rare editions coming out. Limited editions, you've got the blind bags, you've got exclusives, you've got chase variants, and every release has a collector number. So, for example, I've got the X-Wing in front of me, it's number 15. I know the Falcon's number 22, but they are proper delving into this line. They are proper back themselves right from the off, which is nice to see.
Where did you buy that?
I got that in Smith's. They didn't have a great deal, to be fair. They had the X-Wing, they had a TIE Fighter, and maybe one other ship at that point. But I've also got 2 of the little blind boxes. I haven't opened them yet, but they look, even those look quite good fun. Even just the little characters. So the X-Wing comes with a little R2, which pushes into the back of the X-Wing, and Luke, which obviously goes into the cockpit. They're nice. I think they look quite nice on a display. I really do. And they've got the ship, Obi-Wan's ship in Attack of the Clones, where he leaves the circular bit. I can't remember what it's called.
I know what you mean. Jedi Starfighter.
Yeah, Starfighter, yeah.
I quite like them.
Yeah.
I will buy. I'm going to buy one in the next few weeks, and I'll let you know what I think next time, maybe.
Yeah, it'd be. Do you know what? If there's as many as what they're saying, I think it'd be quite an interesting topic to maybe get the line on paper and images, and then maybe have a discussion about it in September's Modern Way. Well, boys, that was announcements. Quite a lot. Be interesting to know as we go in here then. So you've seen what's been on offer. If you could add one thing that you haven't already pre-ordered or you haven't bought already from everything we've discussed tonight, what one thing would you be going after? Jez?
Hot Toy R5D4.
Good choice. Dan?
The Hot Toy Vader.
Okay.
Stu?
Well, he's pre-ordered everything. There's nothing left to choose from.
I think it would probably be, just having a recap of things in my head there, I think, either the Starfighter or R5D4 from the Hot Toys. I think they both make me a little bit excited. If I had a tail like a dog, it would be wagging when I look at them. Yeah, one of those for definite. Or the Vader lightsaber. I quite like that, actually. No, I'm not. What am I going on about? I wouldn't buy that. I'll cut that.
Yeah, you don't need to cut it. It was one of those things that was in my top 3, that Vader lightsaber. I think it's about time.
I've always fancied buying a lightsaber, so it's kind of...
I've still got the old Sideshow one. Is it Sideshow, what they call it? Was it Sideshow Collective? No, it wasn't Sideshow. Was it Master Replicas?
Oh, Master Replicas. Nice little line.
Yeah,
nice little line.
It's a heavy hilt. I think I got it on lockdown for about 90 quid off of Gumtree, or someone was selling it, and it was brand new in the box, and it's mint. Blade's not gone yellow. Quite happy with mine. I don't need to go and spend another 250 quid on one.
You should definitely do a show all about Master Replicas on your own.
Yeah.
Jeff would like that. So, social media. We're across everything. We are on TikTok, we're on Facebook, and we are on Twitter. Just search for Generation Skywalker. Of course, Facebook, check out the We Are Generation Skywalker Facebook page. I think I say it's the end of every show. We are going to be more active on there, and I do mean it, and we will get there. Also, we're on Instagram. Just search for Generation Skywalker. You'll find our main page, but we do also have the vintage and the modern pages, which are sister pages to the main. So Dan is running the modern. Dan, pretty active?
It is when stuff's getting released. It's been quiet the last week. We've not had any new releases, but all around the Comic-Con, all around San Diego Comic-Con, it was coming thick and fast, and I was trying to keep up with what's been announced, and I do a little roundup at the end of each month as well, kind of a bit of a reel showing images of everything that's been announced in the last 30 days. So yeah, it's good fun. Come and sign up. That's Gen_Skywalker_modern.
Yeah, definitely go and check it out, because now I've just told him there's 50 to 60 pieces of the Micro Squadron. Every day there isn't anything new, he will post an image of one of those, so you can be checking out the line before we cover it next month. Jez, and also the vintage. I know this isn't the vintage show, but I know that's pretty active as well.
Yeah, indeed. Loving the vintage. So very much like the modern, is gen._Skywalker_vintage. So follow them both, see what we've got.
Precisely. And I will urge you to go and check out the TikTok, because next week I will be, actually that'll be before this podcast is out, but I will be starting the 2-minute review. So if you just want a quick look at an item, I'll be over there opening Tiki, Black Series, the Vintage Collection, Micro Galaxy Squadron, Hot Toys. We're going to be smashing them out, and you might even get to see my little cheeky face, which is quite cute in its own little way.
I would.
Go over to YouTube, check out YouTube. Again, search for Generation Skywalker. Hit the subscribe button over there. This show will be on there with lots of images of everything we've discussed, and that's always the best way of checking out these items. We're across all podcast platforms. Check us out on Spotify. Hit your Alexa up. Just say, Alexa, play Generation Skywalker, and you will come up with the most recent episode. You can then skip through them or shuffle. Maybe shuffle it up. You might get Dan chatting to Lee, or you might get Jez talking to Gerald home. It's all out there. Just shuffle it up. I like that. Shuffle it up. Just shuffle it up. Or go to www.generationskywalker.com, where you will find links to everything, all our social media, all our shows, all our enhanced shows, and a few blog posts. But boys, that is modern. Great fun catching up with you. Jeff, I hope I've been all right. If not, let us know. We could put Dan back in. and I hope we've let Jez talk enough tonight. But thank you for the feedback. It was really nice. And that's fact. Thank you for all the feedback. We do get some feedback. But Jeff, your message was lovely. Although that didn't include me. Hurt, but not hurt. If you get what I mean. You know, maybe just think about that. But it is for this show. Goodbye from Dan.
This is the way.
It's goodbye from Jez.
Permission to speak?
Of course.
Goodbye, everyone.
And it is goodbye from me. We're Generation Skywalker. All eras, all passions, all Star Wars.